Y'all ever watch the original podcast or whatever they call it with um, God, I can't remember anybody's names anymore. Never mind. Forget me.
No, you're good, Phil.
Okay.
We're on, by the way, so welcome, everyone, whoever comes in. I'm not going to be able
Hell
to...
yeah.
I'm going to go back over to this.
Pat, what's your YouTube channel?
Populism at Large. I can send you a link to the channel here in a second.
I can find it.
Hopefully. Sometimes it's a little fucky if you put it into the search.
I have a new pirated YouTube app, by the way.
Ah. Don't
Wait,
let
say
YouTube
what
hear.
now? Yeah, what the fuck? We crazy.
I'll send it to you on Messenger just in case.
I just subscribed.
Sweet.
Yep, that's right. Alright, we'll save that to my clipboard.
So what time is it? Let's start discussions at 8:20. So in 8 minutes.
That works.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
This is cool. I'm watching this stream and I'm watching myself. It's like watching the security cases work.
Just try not to.
And we're just a bunch of
make
dumb
echoes and
assholes from West Virginia doing this.
To be honest, with the 3 people here, we probably have a higher intelligence than 80% of America.
I don't know. I'm pretty damn stupid.
You've got the common
I'm pretty
side
damn
of things.
stupid too.
Like I can.
I think we're all pretty.
together, but I don't score very well on paper.
I think we're all pretty dumb as fuck in at least one way. Very dumb.
I'm very
At least
ignorant
one way.
of cars and how they work, so.
That's me. I'm good at that.
I have no idea how any of that shit works. I just know it goes boom boom.
I just know it gets me from point A to point B.
And I can tell you how hard it's going to be to fix it when it breaks.
Oh yeah. That's why you're my, like, unofficial mechanic for whenever I actually do get my car.
Yeah, and me and Dave will be your gun guys.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that, by the way. I can't wait till we can do that.
I'm excited for it too, because as soon as I get it,
That
I'm gonna want to be
link
able to
you
shoot
sent
it.
me has an R in front of it. Is this supposed to have an R?
Yes, it is, because that's what it says it's supposed to have on the thing that I have made.
Let me see if that link works.
RTMP. I don't know what RTMP means, but
Me neither.
I know
The
some
bar
computer
open
shit.
the page because the address is invalid. Maybe that's not. Are you sure that's the link?
Yes, because I just sent it to everything else, because I got it out of our Skype chat, so... Here, maybe I can probably find it on the YouTube, like, normally, and send you that one, see if that's any better. Sure. We're gonna go to Twitter. Here, let's see if that's any better.
We've only got about an 8-second delay. That's not too bad.
No, I have it on normal latency, or kind of low latency, because my Wi-Fi is not the strongest, and I don't know how yours guys is, but I'm not worried about how it looks, more of how the audio comes out in the long run.
I'd say mine's pretty decent just because I'm only using the tablet right now, and he's just probably watching something on the Xbox, so... Ooh, I have a notification. Well, I don't care about any of that. Thank you, Disney Plus.
If you guys get into the chat, just let me know, because then I'll mod you.
Okay, hold on a sec. Let me open that up on my phone here.
On this. I don't know how to bring up the chat outside of YouTube, so...
Open up a new tab.
Well, Skype's an app on here, so... I might have to reset our Skype in a tab or something. Okay.
Everybody wants to bother me on Messenger right now. Woman, I don't care what you have to send to me. Stop talking to me.
I found it. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Got my little personal chat thingy.
There you go. I just commented, so whatever you want to do with that.
Look, a wrench. You have a wrench, or you will here in a minute, but
Or
I don't know where to put this. I'm just going to put this down here.
I'm trying to set this up better so that I can be seen and see myself, but I'm connected to a very short charging cable right now, because I'm an idiot and I always forget to charge this thing. Aha!
So are you getting stuff working, Abe? Because I've seen your lips move, but I don't know if you've actually said anything. You're still not making noise.
I can't hear him.
You're probably muted.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah, my bad. I'm just putting every fucking thing out there. I'm trying to get everyone on here.
I hear you.
Mason, is that Patty P? Yes, it's Patty P.
What's up? What's up? Come join the chat, folks. I will have the chat up so I can see you guys.
Hey, you should start taking donations.
I'll set up a Patreon.
Everyone, please support my Patreon. Give me money.
Yo,
I hate that shit.
I'm a grifter. Give me your fucking money.
Hell, I'm just gonna start an OnlyFans.
Those guys are like street performers, except they perform at home and they just video it for the rest of us, and then we're all like, yeah, here's some fucking change. It annoys the shit out of me, man. I really hate that shit.
Well, YouTube
I get it sometimes.
YouTube's a real cuck about things, though, and they won't, like, let you get most of the money you make. They take, like, 60% of your super chats, which is kind of bullshit, and then, like, your ad revenue, if they don't even like your shit, they'll just delete your channel if they want to, so, like...
Yeah, I know. And they'll just demonetize everything on really high production shit, too. So they kind of ruin people. They have to, like, ask for money, which, that's fine. But then there's people that get, like, a lot of money from YouTube, and they're like, support my Patreon, support my fucking whatever. They have, like, all the links in their descriptions. That shit annoys me. It's like, oh, my God. But they make money, so what the fuck? It's whatever.
Oops, I did not want to do that. What's going on?
I'm gonna go look at the live stream myself. So, it's about 8:20.
Yeah.
You ready, gentlemen?
I'm ready, if you guys are.
Go for it.
I know you guys both are more or less right-leaning, at least to some degree, since, Abe, you determine yourself as a libertarian, probably loosely. You probably don't fully fit the description of libertarian. And Phil, I don't know what you want to label yourself as, so you can say it now if you want to.
I'll tell you. I identify as a freedomist.
A freedomist? Okay.
I'm making it up, but...
Can you label yourself in something that is more politically known, or like an actual political term that's known?
Centrist.
A centrist? Of all people.
I'm pretty much in the middle of everything.
Honestly, I never would have thought you'd ever be a centrist, but...
That's where the most freedom is.
Sometimes it's safe to be a centrist, because...
It's safe, but nothing ever happens with a centrist.
Sometimes stagnation is better than radicalism, though.
Yeah.
The radical right or the radical left take over.
I don't know how you guys feel, but the radical right is pretty big in this country, even if it is kind of the minority. But they do have a good majority of the voters, since most of them are of an older age.
That's true.
They are fairly silent too, because you don't hear about them a lot, but until something happens.
Well, they make themselves known when they want to be known, but they are definitely alive and beating, even if it is in the undergrowths of everything. Usually they're stuck in Reddit though, so they don't.
Those are the young ones. They're actually a minority, because most young people are pretty liberal.
Yeah, that's true, but there is an alt-right or far-right pipeline that has been happening ever since Gamergate, if you guys know what that is, where the SJWs tried to go after gaming and saying it wasn't feminist enough and shit.
That truly radicalized some neckbeards out there. I remember that. That was when
I don't know if you guys know, but like a big component. One of them is Sargon of Akkad. Another one would be Steven Crowder. Another one would be Stephen Molyneux. Razor Fist before he got completely destroyed on the Drunken Peasants. He was a big part of that. He gets probably barely more than 20,000 views on a video now, which is hilarious because he got absolutely destroyed. But
who did he get destroyed by?
Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk. It was hosted on Drunken Peasants back when the host of Deep Fat Fried and his friends were on there still, but they went their separate ways and whatnot. It was a good debate. I liked it. It was really good, but you could really tell that Razor Fist had no idea what he was fucking talking about. He was just bullshitting.
That's what happens to a lot of people if they go after like an intellectual giant in a debate publicly. That's why presidential debates are so important, and that's why one is canceled now.
But at this point, though, like the presidential debates are only getting those independent, on-the-fence voters. Most of the people aren't getting swayed. Like 2% are getting swayed out of it, and that's like 2% of what's left of the 4%. So they're really only swaying the people that haven't been decided yet. For the most part, I will more than likely be voting Biden. I think he's the lesser of two evils, because I feel Trump is kind of bringing on a white supremacy type government that is a little too radically right, not left, but because he did denounce the Proud Boys, but it was after probably so much scrutiny that he had to. I honestly don't know how he feels. He probably doesn't even really know who they are, but seeing his lack of wanting to denounce them is probably because he's a narcissist who wants them to still like him and vote for him and shit.
Well, okay, so Trump is guilty of that on numerous occasions, of course, but I feel like that's just a necessary political tactic in order to secure votes, because there's different issues that people look at, and if you violate one issue, or if you take back a promise on one singular issue, that could potentially take away millions of voters from you.
That is very true, but at the same time, who else are they going to vote for? Because they're not going for the Green Party, Biden, or Joe Jorgensen. They don't give a shit about them. They're voting him. So he honestly...
Let me give you an example. Okay, so during... you remember way back when, like 2 years ago, the Las Vegas shooting?
Yes,
where
I remember that.
It was like the worst shooting in American history, worst mass shooting.
The most, kills or whatever. Or casualties, I should say, not kills.
Yeah, after that, the ATF banned bump stocks because it was a modification to the AR-15 platform that made it to where a singular pull of the trigger
basically made it automatic.
It made it automatic. Like, down to the nitty-gritty technicals, okay? Like, it made it automatic. So, when they outlawed that, Second Amendment people were pissed. And Second Amendment people are already... I happen to be, in this community, okay? So, they're really on the fence on basically every single politician out there. They don't trust them at all. And they certainly don't trust Trump anymore. Because this was actually not the ATF. This was Trump's executive order to ban bump stocks. Now, recently,
one of the good executive orders. I'm a
that
leftist,
could be debated.
So it's one of his better ones. I will say that. I am a guns person. I do support the Second Amendment, but there do need to be some type of regulations on them. I don't think that you shouldn't be able to have them, but there needs to be something in place to keep people from getting them as easily as they do. I do like the waiting period, because a lot of people that commit suicide, if they have a waiting period, will more than likely stop their suicide. It cuts it down significantly. So I do agree on that point of at least a wait time or something to help people think about what they're doing. What were you saying, Phil?
I want to make a point about the bump stocks. That is one tool to improve the fire rate of your weapon.
Yes.
When Yeah, it's great. We banned them. Nobody can use them anymore. But do you know how many other ways there are to improve the fire rate of your weapon that haven't been handled? I could
Many.
go into many of them, but I don't want to give anybody any ideas. So,
On Phil's
I mean,
point, as a
banning small things just creates a bigger problem.
It does in some instances, yes. If it should be anything, it should be a ban on any modifications that increase a fire rate above a certain RPM. That would be better, I feel. But to do that would be very difficult. But it should be what we do, because if an AR-15's RPM, like without it, semi-auto is probably what, like 600 rounds a minute or something like that.
here's my counter to.
You're cutting out.
I'm cutting out.
Yeah.
Am I still cutting out? That's
No,
a testing.
good
1,
now.
2, 3.
Go
Okay.
ahead and restart.
So here would be my rebuttal to all these like proposed regulations for like gun control, like with bump stocks and all that stuff. The military itself does not really use, especially in trainings, fully automatic. They always go semi-automatic. Semi-automatic conserves ammo over time. You can hit more targets because you're going to be using precision instead of just there's no thinking in fully automatic fire. And in fact, fully automatic fire is highly inaccurate, and you will dispense more bullets, you will waste more ammo, and hit less targets, depending unless it's like a CQC situation. Now, also the RPM, like with the bump stocks, they increase the RPM up to like above 1,000 if you were good with it, and depending on what caliber AR you had, like if it was like a 9mm or 45 ACP or something like that. But the point originally is that the ban of bump stocks.
If you're saying anything, you're cutting out.
Radicalized community.
Okay,
1, 2, 3.
Okay, you're good now. Like last 10 seconds.
Okay. The point I was just trying to make is that the banning of bump stocks and all that stuff, it's like in all these supposed regulations that people want to enact, it for people that are gun enthusiasts, it's easily disputed and they don't even care. And then when they ban something like bump stocks, it radicalizes them against the president because that was his executive order. And now recently the ATF has classified the Honey Badger AR pistol brace as
you're cutting out again. The Honey Badger pistol.
Okay. Really?
The last thing the last thing you said was Honey Badger pistol thing. I didn't fully catch it, so.
Okay, so the ATF classified the Honey Badger pistol brace as an SBR, a short barrel rifle.
Okay, yeah, a short barreled rifle. Okay.
It's
okay.
a felony to own.
Okay, it's a felony to own.
It makes it a felony to own if you haven't gone through the proper rule. So there's a lot of Second Amendment people that are pissed at Trump and will not be voting for him, and actually will be voting for the Libertarian George Organ's name. A lot of people, because there's a lot of people that love guns and they pay attention. They're the silent majority for the most part. But if fucks around like that, he loses votes.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
and that's what all political things are. Everything, to some degree, has some type of political attention to it, even if it is to a minor degree. I don't know if you're in favor of that or not. If regulations on stuff like that, I think there should be at least some type of regulations on it. I think some training on certain weapons even should be like, you get a certificate for it, and then if you have that certificate, you can get those weapons and whatnot. Because I don't think we shouldn't have like good weapons or like really cool ones to collect and shit. But if you don't know how to handle them, or you're just mentally unstable to be owning such things, then you shouldn't have them. To that degree, some people would even be pissed about that. But I would like cool weapons. I would like some automatics, because automatic fire is fun, and having shit like that would be cool to have, especially you go to range just to have fun, or you're in a competition or some shit. But
there is very strict procedure to acquire a fully automatic weapon that is pre-ban 1986. They're tens of thousands of dollars. They're very expensive. But let's say in this new America scenario, the far right have taken over, and they have fully legalized fully automatic firearms. Okay, so what would be...
I honestly doubt that they would legalize that as a far right group, because
but let's say, like, you have to go through the same procedure to buy a fully automatic firearm as you would right now, except for the fact that it doesn't have to be pre-1986. So you'd have to send your fingerprints, you would have to get permission from your sheriff, you'd have to get permission from the ATF itself, you'd have to go through a 6-month waiting period before you even acquire the firearm itself. Do you think that would be enough for a law-abiding person who has never committed a crime, has no mental health problems or anything like that? Do you think that would be enough regulation for them to buy an M4 or a submachine gun, anything like that?
I'd say the only other thing they would need is, I would want this to be more more capable of more people being able to do this, but a training for automatic weapons so that they don't hurt themselves or anyone else trying to use them for the first time because they don't know what they're doing.
So that's the type of compromise we could have, because we already have a concealed carry course. We could have a fully automatic course.
Yeah.
We could compromise on these things to make it happen. But the American people are too divided because of these politicians that make it so black and white.
Well,
we can actually do these things.
Yeah. I feel politics at this point is more like a football game. People have their team and they're sticking with it, or there are people who just don't give a fuck, or there are people trying to figure out what team they want. And each team seems to be dog shit to them, so they go with whichever one's best suited to them, to whatever degree that they have as their litmus test, so to speak. I think the two-party system is rigged and shitty as fuck. I also hate the Electoral College because many presidents have won without the popular vote, and that's not democracy. That's bullshit. And I forget who did a study on this. It might have been Yale, but there was a study done on our government, and we are more of a corporate oligarch than anything else.
So, if we are to remain as the United States, and we want to have 50 states, and let's say we want to add more like Puerto Rico, we want to make them a state and allow their citizens the right to choose who the leader of this country is finally. Let's say we do these things. We'd have to have an electoral college to make it fair.
It doesn't matter.
Because
it doesn't make it fair though, because usually in those low population areas, even if there are places where there are liberal votes, they are so gerrymandered that they don't come through. And the Electoral College, a lot of the times, can be bought off. So the Electoral College does not help in any instance, and honestly, the Senate doesn't help either, because we are not equal as states. States are different for a reason.
Don't you think that a city, which are generally Democrat-run, liberalism is the mainstream political ideology of most American cities. Don't you think that they have a monopoly themselves because they receive more people? They literally produce more people. They take in more people than states that are rural. And then you have to look at the fact that California itself has 40 million people, and then New York has like 30 million people or 20 million people, and then that's like just 2 states have as many people that voted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. But then there's 48 other states, and they all have their own.
What you're trying to make here, it does make sense on some case, but the minority wins when it shouldn't. And this country is for the majority of people. That's what it should be run on. Even if there is a minority that is large, the minority has to either gain that power by making themselves a majority, or they don't get that power at all. In this case, mostly the minority has the winning side, since they win half the time. Republicans make up about 43% of the voting base, but whereas they win half of the election, seeing as we go back and forth consistently through, since I'd say FDR, that a minority is winning more often than they ever should. I'm not saying they shouldn't have the ability to get power, and they should if they have the votes, but a popular vote is democratic, whereas an electoral college is not. Electoral college is very rigged, especially in the favor of Republicans, seeing as they're not afraid to gerrymander or to make it harder for people to vote, like decreasing the budget of the mail-in votes. In Texas, I watch a guy that lives in Texas, and in one of the counties he's in, there's like 100 and like not 100, but like 4 million, about around 4 million people. And then there's another county with exactly 169 people, not 169,000 or million, 169 people. And they both only have one place for you to walk in and turn in your mail-in vote ballot. And it is being done by the governor there, who is right now a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So Republicans play dirty, even as they have the dirty means to already win when they shouldn't. So an electoral college, I feel, is very, very, very wrong to have and say that we are a democracy. Especially when, like, a popular vote is just seen to see who won the popular vote, and it doesn't account for anything.
So it comes down to, are we... Go ahead, Phil. My bad.
I want to speak my opinion on the electoral college and the popular vote. Now, Pat, as you were saying, or as Abes, you were saying, you know, the two cities between California and New York, if they are the popular vote, and people from cities that elect people that are favored by the people from cities, they can't speak for those of us that live in the country. Well, and so I feel like that wouldn't be accurately represented.
That's what the House of Representatives is for. That is where your representation comes in.
Which needs restructuring, because we obviously don't seem to be getting anything done with it.
Well, that's because of the Senate. The Senate has two per state. The Senate... It sounds like I'm talking like Emperor Palpatine. The Senate must obey me. But anyways, the Senate is what the electoral college of our Congress is. And nothing gets done there because it's overrun with Republicans, even though the majority of people are Democrats. And that doesn't make any sense in a democracy. That's why I like the House of Representatives, because as West Virginia, we have 2 representatives, I do believe, or 3 or something like that. And
3.
And
let's say we abandon the Electoral College. Still going to have a problem in the Senate, because senators are elected by states.
That's why I don't like the Senate. The Senate shouldn't be there. I only want the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is a closer connotation to a popular vote.
I feel like we need to have term limits on senators and representatives too.
I
because
agree on that.
Representing the same areas for 40 years and nothing's getting done.
And
that's dumb as fuck.
Well, it's also expensive as fuck to even have a political career, and poor people like us, because I'm not making enough money to go and fucking run a goddamn political campaign. I sure as hell would like to. I'd love to run for governor or some shit.
You and me both.
But I
got ideas.
Because I'm poor. But people like fucking Jim Justice, who owns like a third of the fucking state with the Greenbrier, he can fucking run as much as he wants and for as long as he wants, because he's fucking rich as hell.
And we've both seen how much money that he has taken from this emergency fund and putting into his own businesses.
Well, that's
quick
what
fact.
The whole economy.
Jim Justice is the only West Virginian billionaire. The only one.
Well, that's why he's corrupt as fucking Republican, in my opinion. But another thing is, since we were talking about stimulus,
But hey, he's just an asshole.
he is an asshole and he's dumber than shit for a billionaire.
Yeah.
But along with the stimulus,
I
like
know,
you
right?
said, the economy was getting pumped trillions of dollars into the stock market, and all that money was going to the corporations and shit. How much of a stimulus did you fuckers get? 1,200? Is that all you got?
I only got one.
0.
You didn't even get shit.
0.
You didn't get nothing. Why'd you get nothing?
I'm a dependent on my dad, who makes more than like $90,000 a year,
Oh.
which was the.
I
Yeah.
make around the same money as my dad, so I'm not a dependent.
I'm the only adult in my family other than my brother who actually makes a taxable income.
So
Well, my income is taxed too, but
you just
I didn't
don't
get no
anything.
fucking stimulus check.
That's why I honestly hate how our economy's being run, because the socialism is being helped for the corporations, even though we're supposed to be a free market. So if they fail, they should fucking go under, but they don't get to, because they're already
agree.
there. And shit.
I agree. As a hardcore, like, free market capitalist type of guy, I wouldn't say fully capitalist, because I embrace a lot of Andrew Yang's ideas, which I guess are not capitalist.
They're more
in their
socialist in
entirety.
that thing, but
I wouldn't even say they're socialist. Let's get into that in a second, but as a free market guy, I agree. Companies should die.
I
They
don't
get
think-
They
an-
deserve to. They deserve to die.
if they fail, then they should too, but they shouldn't just die overall.
Yeah, no. I'm saying if they fail, like if their shit fails, they deserve to die and not be bailed out.
Yeah, how many
shit.
times are we going to bail out the same company is what I want to know. I understand,
As long as we
when
keep voting in the corporate Democrats and Republicans who are just their lackeys that keep giving them tax cuts and then bailing them out when their company starts to fail, even though they have more than enough money to live off of right now and not have to make any more.
Mhm.
And monopolies are a huge thing as well. There are several monopolies. Suddenlink and like 4 other fucking cable companies own the rights to all the Wi-Fi, and our Wi-Fi is about half or even less than half as good as France's, and we pay about 50 times more for it.
well,
Wait for Starlink.
what's your internet bill, Pat?
My internet bill, since mine's like put in with TV and cable as well, it's like around $180. I don't know what I'm paying specifically for just internet. My cousin, for just internet, I think he pays like $75.
Yeah, for just internet, where we have, it's just medium regular internet. It's like $55 a month.
If you went to France, you can pay $25 a month for more than twice the speed.
Here's the problem with all that. Okay, our infrastructure for internet sucks.
Well, that's because
We
they won't
actually
upgrade
need
it.
to pass. I know we need to pass some infrastructure bills in this country to lay down
most
fiber
definitely.
optic wire in the fucking
Infrastructure-
ground.
Infrastructure on any level needs to be updated.
Smaller countries.
It's old as shit. My
Our
God.
infrastructure hasn't been updated in terms of normal infrastructure since World War II, and our Wi-Fi infrastructure hasn't been probably updated since 1999 or some bullshit like that. And a lot of it has to do with the cable companies made it illegal for the United States to make their own cable company and start selling it that way for a cheaper price. Because they could definitely do that, but the cable company said, no, fuck you, we're going to monopolize the fuck out of this and make it to where you can't make a Wi-Fi. If they made Wi-Fi and they sold it to the people, the cable companies would shit their britches. They'd have to update shit immediately or they would go under.
Okay, so have y'all heard of Starlink? The shit that SpaceX is doing?
No, I
Yeah,
have
well-
not heard about that.
What?
They're sending
Oh,
up tens of thousands of satellites to bring internet to places that have like shitty or no internet for a affordable price. Let's look it up right now. It's going to be happening in a number of years, but it's going to bypass all these corporate monopolies. I think he's going to actually bring cheap, affordable, good internet to the common person all around the world.
I agree with doing that. I just don't know how feasible that's going to be. What's it called? Starlink?
Yeah, it says they're going to launch 42,000 satellites to provide internet.
Well, speaking of infrastructure,
It says right here that Elon Musk says there's enough satellites right now to do a public beta of its high-speed internet. I would be very much down for that, to be honest. But I don't know how long that'll stay for the people until a fucking monopoly grabs a hold of it. Because if the government needs money and the company's like, we'll pay you fucking several $1 billion, the government's going to be like, here you go. And then we're fucked again.
So...
So unless it's made to where they can't sell it off to a monopoly and then it be privatized, because at this point, Wi-Fi is no longer a commodity; it's an essential. Because basically everyone needs it in this country to make a living.
Yeah, and especially
That's
during
true.
this.
You need it. Most Americans right now. Yeah, for sure. To go to school.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for fucking school.
Yeah. My sisters are having a hell of a time getting schoolwork done because first of all, they don't have internet at the house because the only one that services that area is Comcast, and they want like $200 a month for basic internet. And so school gave them little hotspots, which only work for about 3 hours a day, 2 days out of the week.
That's
so
stupid.
My sisters are pretty much screwed. My little sister has actually had to ride with her bigger sister to work just to sit there while she works and do her schoolwork for like 7 hours.
That's messed up, to be honest. That's really messed up.
I mean, that's how bad it is in this area. Nobody wants to cater to the rural man. You know,
yeah.
It's difficult. I have stood freezing my ass off in the corner of Ohio with AEP installing telephone poles, and it is hell.
That's why if the government made one, they would have to make it accessible to everyone.
That's right. Look at this. This will give us some hope. Over the next few years, Elon Musk is hoping to send 1,000 satellites to space.
That's good.
And then it says it's going to go from the rainforest to Antarctica, and nearly half the world's population does not have access to internet. This is going to provide internet to them, supposedly. Imagine that half of the world's population
4 billion
is not connected.
People. Does
not connected.
They don't even know what it is, probably. Which, speaking of, I would say this is universal basic Wi-Fi or universal basic internet or something like that. Just something simple. Speaking of that, since you do like Andrew Yang's universal basic income, I know Phil liked it. How about you? As soon as you stop lagging.
He's in and out today. I'm having such a time with this freaking Skype thing. I
love
can't get it.
You want universal basic income?
Yes, I do. I want it so bad. Right now.
You do know that is socialism right there, right? Because it's something that
not necessarily.
It isn't. Because the taxpayers pay for it, therefore it comes back to them, and they are the workers.
Right. So, in my eyes, that's what a socialist sees. I know. Through the eyes of socialist.
I honestly don't fully see it as just socialism.
That's what a socialist is going to stare.
You're lagging like super hard again.
Well, from my eyes. Testing 1 2 3. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now. I got like, this is what a socialism would think. Here's one thing before you go on to that tangent. As a partial socialist, I don't know what I fully am yet. I'm still discovering my philosophy. I don't see it as socialism. I see that as Americanism. Because America has always been able to provide for its people. And welfare was I think we were one of the first countries to ever install that. And if we uninstalled welfare and anything like it, like food stamps and shit like that, and we made it into one system to pay universal basic, the UBI, we could already pay over 2/3 of that. That's an American system right there, at a more efficient way as well.
I highly agree. Now, my original point That's a socialist would see universal basic income as a step towards socialism. As a free market capitalist, libertarian type of person,
That's a step towards capitalism because that gives people more ways to invest money and shit because they'll be able to actually use money at that point.
well, at the root, with the exception of the people that do not work, at the root, the people that do work, this is like a tax return because they're literally going to get money back that they paid in taxes. That's what it is, and it's going to be every month.
With universal in the name, it doesn't matter if you work or not, you're going to be getting it. Because there's going to be a lot of people that can't pay into it that are on Social Security and shit that'll be getting it too. Like disabled people and shit. And honestly, I think everyone should get it because those people are going to invest that money back into the economy too. They're going to pay for goods and services. They even might start a business. They might not have had the ability to get a job or something. And now that they have some type of money coming in, they might be able to start a little business of their own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I fully support that. My dad is disabled. He can't work very much. He does a little bit in the fall, but an extra $1,000 a month would help him. He'd pay his bills. He could buy a little bit of extra stuff for the kids, and
he might even make a hobby that he can use to make even more money if he had the money to do so. I don't know what he's good at, to be honest, but if he has the ability to make anything with metalworking, wood carving, or shit like that, he could start selling shit through that as well and make an Etsy shop.
Right, or even, he can't do much of that
in the stock market.
That's part of his disability, is he's not really able to work with his hands anymore. But
no, that sucks. Well, he could become an entertainer. If he learned to set up what we're doing now and just sit there and talk to people, people would come in and give him money for that. Especially since he's got a lot of life experience, he could probably give people advice and shit. He could.
Something that I've always wanted to do is have an old people podcast where you interview and talk to old people. Like my grandma, she's lived through 3 wars and the Great Depression and stuff. She's got a hell of a story to tell, but I haven't heard any.
Yeah, I would honestly be down for that. I don't know how capable she'd be with the technology, but if she would want to, we could do it here if you'd like. I wouldn't give a shit.
I'll just go over to her house and set it up, and she'd be sitting right here instead of my ugly face.
I'd like you both to be on there because you could probably help your grandma in some instances if she needed to. But since we all agree on universal basic income, so that's not something we're going to have any discussion over other than yes, do it. So
yeah, honestly, I fully fucking support it 100%. $1,000 a month, every 18-year-old and up until the day you pass from this earth. That's honestly, my belief.
I think he even wanted to give it to kids, but the kids would get half. They get $500 or something like that. So they'd even
the parents would get $500 per kid.
Yeah, that
is what the was.
Yeah, it's perfect. It helps with child care and
because that $500 could go into daycare and shit, or we could just make universal basic family care. So if you are a single mother or something, you can go and work, but you have a place to drop your kid off if you don't have anyone to take care of them.
Talk about the education system. Build that into the education system.
That could work very well too.
The idea of families is dying. Not all. It seems like families are falling apart left and right.
Yeah.
So, better help with younger children and family care and stuff like that. I don't know what else there is to say other than it would be positive all around.
That's something that has to that's on the backs of each and every one of us as individuals. That's nothing we can legislate. That's something that's a personal decision, but it has to happen on a mass scale to have a good society. It would
become legislation through a mass organization because the schools could make a program for it, and that in turn would be legislation. Or the governor could set up something like that. It just depends. It could be a state-run thing, or it could be an actual federal thing. Here's a federal daycare. Here's a place where you can send your kids in each county. They can go and they can do their work and shit because they'll have Wi-Fi and whatnot, and they can learn and shit and still because they will be somewhat educated people. They could be teachers or just there could be teachers, cooks and shit, so they can have people that can provide them with food, have people there that can provide them with education and even entertainers. Like, they could bring in occasional entertainers that teach about certain jobs and shit as well. So
it sounds like we need more emphasis on trade school.
Yes, dude. I was just about to say that. Dude, I wish I would have gone to trade school at high school.
Dropped out.
I wish trade school didn't fuck me over and like completely change my thing to trade school to a normal school task, but it took a year to implement, so I only got 1 out of the 2 years I needed.
Oh, dude, that sucks. I really wish I would have done it. I really wish I would have done it.
I do
honestly.
like trade schools, and honestly, trade schools should start sooner. But there also needs to be something for kids that aren't going into a trade. They need to focus on a general education first, but they do need something to help them focus on what they want to do in their life and help them strive to that.
Specialized education.
We do need a specialized education, but we're so factory focused on our education because it was made for putting people in factories and working on assembly lines, and no one wants to fucking change that.
Yeah, we pumped people through a machine, truly. And I saw it here in North Carolina. My school was overcrowded. It had 1,200 people, and it was a 700 and something capacity school. Wow. And every single class I was in, it was people from mixed grades. It was just like chaos. There was too many disruptions in class. There was not true education. This is what happens in a lot of areas. It's just like mayhem. It's not true.
And it was like at our small town high school. I mean, me and Pat, granted, were part of some of that, but, you know.
I mean, we had a good part of that, but to be honest, the problem with schools is their funding comes from the residential taxes. And what that does is it makes poor schools and poor neighborhoods and rich schools and rich neighborhoods. If we made it to where that funding was not just residential taxes, but other shit, and it had a national guidelines for how the school should be run in a specialized way, our schools would be so much better. And I think community colleges and non-private colleges should be free for their first 4 years, because that'll help you get a job and shit too. Because high school education doesn't get you a job unless you want to work fast food or retail or some shit.
Right, which everybody, like me and you, Pat, we worked up through that. You know, we both did fast food. I went on the retail, then I went to a call center, and now I'm gone for circle. I'm actually working as a full-time mechanic for my old trade school teacher. So,
which is really cool. You got lucky on that part. But how many people out there How many people are out there that only have a high school education that couldn't pay for college, and now are stuck with no job, and are living with people that they're having to bum off of, or are doing crime like selling drugs, which honestly we'll get to that at another point. I'm against the drug war, but we'll get on that at another point. Or have a job that they fucking hate and are putting minimal effort into because it doesn't give them enough.
So that's where universal basic income comes back into the conversation. Because, okay, so concerning crime, that's actually like an incentive to stay out of jail, to not commit at least violent crimes.
Not too fast, Phil.
Because you're going to get money.
Seizure.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the TV over here. I'm trying to get it to change something that I want.
But I get what you're saying with the universal basic income, but that's more. I want that to be, and yes, in jail and stuff, you would not get that, but universal basic income shouldn't make up what you should be getting from your wage as well. You should be getting a living wage that pays all your bills and your food, and then the UBI could be used for anything else, because it's going back into the economy regardless if it's not going into your bills or your food and shit, even though in your food it would be technically, but it would give you more incentive to maybe save that up, get a loan for what you don't have already, and start a business, or buy some equipment to start a business and shit like that.
So how about this? So instead of providing, you agree on universal basic income, I don't think we can have universal basic income and universal college paid for like the first whatever years. I don't think so. I don't think we can do that. What I think needs to happen is
we have the economy for that, and we have enough money in our economy to definitely make that happen. We pumped trillions into the economy just to keep it afloat. I think we can put a few billion into college to have people educated, which in turn would make the economy even stronger and could eventually pay for itself and even for the future generations. So it might not pay for itself now, but say fucking 100 years from now, we could be the top of our game again with technology, with innovations, with everything like we were, and keep running that innovation, and our economy would be booming again, like it was during the 40s.
Here's the reason why I think it won't work. It's because of capitalism. Okay, it's not going to work because of capitalism. College is too expensive. It's too expensive.
It's not that expensive, to be honest, because colleges have been upping their tuitions because they're capitalist pigs at this point. They're profiting way more than they should, and if the government paid those people instead of it being a profit, because private schools, you can go and pay for a private school if you're rich, fuck it, who gives a shit. But for the people who can't pay for it, they need to be able to have the same opportunities to get a good job and shit.
Right, but we should not create a budget to pay for colleges that are charging $40,000
that's the thing,
a
is
semester.
They would be paying less because it's the government. They could pay what they exactly need, no more, no less. So it's not for profit anymore. They're paying those people as a profit because they need to have an incentive to teach and shit, but the schools would be run through the government. Therefore, a profit does not need to necessarily be gained out of it. And if that same college ends up creating thousands of inventors and shit within 100 years, every invention made that the U.S. patents and trademarks is a boost to the economy. And that 1,000 boost to the economy will have already paid for that college 10 times over.
You also have to look at, are you going to pay for like shitty degrees that actually don't make much money and do not contribute in these types of ways?
Well, if people choose a shitty degree, well, that's on them. And
I think STEM should be free.
Yeah, absolutely. Funding STEM should be the smartest. That'd be probably one of the best first steps we could actually take, is funding hands-on, educations and stuff like that.
I do agree. Hands-on educations, more like trade schools and shit. I do want more funding for them, and there should be more trade schools for not just people in school, but for people who want to learn a new job or something, because at some point, jobs are going to be a little bit more open for people, and if you want to change your job because you're not liking what you're doing, but you did have fun at first and you're making good money, you should be able to go and then get a new education for a new job and then start producing in that job too.
Yeah, and not only that, like, say you were a lineman for 30 years. You're 60 years old now, and, you're just worn out.
You've made definitely more than enough money to go into the economy to pay for your education anyways in that point. So you should be able to get whatever starting education or full education if it's a trade school more than likely, or if you're only getting a 4-year degree, you should be able to go in and get that fucking degree and start providing for the economy. Because you're going to be providing for the economy regardless due to the UBI, but you having your more people educated will just make our economy better in general anyways. I feel that's a net gain, and why we should invest in education as much as I want to. I don't see it fully happening. I do see trade schools probably getting a boost in some areas and shit, and some community colleges being free, but I don't think there's going to be too many. I don't think it's going to be to the degree we want, or I want more.
I think we need to focus on, like, the price gouging aspect of colleges that are charging like $30,000 to $40,000 a semester. That needs to be lowered. And then for STEM fields, it should be free. If you're smart enough to pursue, no matter how poor you are, you should be able to pursue a STEM education until you fail or until you succeed.
I agree with that. But I feel any degree that is only 4 years, that's a minimal amount of college education at that point, almost. If you want to get a doctorate or something, yeah, you'll probably have to pay for your next however many years you need to take. But by that time, your doctorate probably already has you a job. And if you have a job, you should be able to pay for it then. But it won't be to the same degree that it is now, where you're paying fucking $50,000 a year, or a semester even, depending on where you're going. Or if you're going to, like, a really good school, you're paying like hundreds of thousands of dollars a semester for an education that might get you something.
Well, let's put it this way. when my brother went to college, he had to have. I mean, he didn't stay very long, but he had to have, all your basic classes, your maths, your Englishes, and stuff like that. I believe that fully should be covered.
Oh, most definitely. That definitely should be
For
covered.
the stuff that was more pertaining to the career he was choosing, like the musical aspect of it, that ought to be paid for by the person getting the education.
I don't think that because, especially if it's less than 4 years, because we already have up to high school. I don't see why 4 more years is any different than what we're doing now. If anything, that would just boost our economy fully by an even higher percentile. So,
And that goes back to the specialized education. Why should everybody have to sit through 12 years of the same thing if not everybody is going to be furthering on to that?
In my ideal, you would be specialized all the way till your last year of college for free, and you could keep specializing if you want to, or you're working by that point because there's going to be jobs for that.
As far as I'm concerned, I could have left high school at 16 and started working in my field. But no, I had to stay there for an extra 2 years and pretty much deal with nonsense.
Exactly. That's why a GED, to be honest, is kind of fucked because it's worth less than a normal diploma, and that's stupid. We need to change that. That's something that needs to change.
Yeah, people with GEDs are looked down upon for some reason. When I would have much preferred to drop out of high school and took the GED test.
Exactly.
But,
I wanted to be an astrophysicist. You knew this for a very long time that I wanted to be that. And if I had the first 4 years of college paid for, I would be off doing science right now instead of sitting here with you guys, although I would probably have done something like this in my free time and made money. And I would have been making way more money than I would have now, probably in the Midwest since it's flat there and I'm going to be doing space stuff. I need a flat area to look up at the stars. But other than that, like, that would have made me a more economically safe choice in the long run than me fucking sitting here now with a just above minimum wage job.
Right, and you know how I'm partial to the space oriented careers because I've always been interested in what's up.
If you would have had specialized education and shit, you might have very well went to college for that shit if it was there for you.
If my education in middle and high school was more pertained to me, I probably would have enjoyed it more and paid attention. But instead, I slept during 11th grade math and barely passed.
Hell yeah. That's what happens.
I mean, I showed up and I would go immediately to sleep and never turn in any assignment, and I passed with a D because I passed the final. So,
yeah. I don't think we're going to get too much more out of this. I think we've got.
Well, that's what happens.
I think we've got our positions though. We both support more STEM, more trade school and shit like that. College is iffy for you two to a degree. I feel like it should be. You guys don't. I don't think I'm going to be able to persuade you guys because you guys are
I don't know. I think my mind would be changed. I think my mind would be changed on that as soon as I start seeing a change in public education.
If
just because
education was specialized to the point where you're actually going into your career partially before you go into college, then more than likely college would have to be also then specialized for you to further your education. Because
which I think would open the door for more schools to start for those specialized
things.
If
there are more schools, there are more people capable of getting a better education. There are more people willing to give an education because it's going to be more economically viable if it is run by the government federally, because the jobs are going to be there. And there's always going to be someone new to come and be educated. Now, I know...
And I don't know if the government needs to be involved. Once that gets started, it takes care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Phil. It takes care of itself.
Not always, but if it was given the regulation that it had to stay within these boundaries and not be profiteering, then yes, it very well could be. But without some type of regulation, I feel that it would fall back into the state we're in now, like it did.
So let me tell you all something. This is something that people usually don't hear. I pay my community college about $800 a semester for 3 classes a semester, which is far, 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 far better than any other major university in any other state in this entire country. It's actually very cheap. It can be that cheap across the board if the prices are like realistic for what you're actually getting out of. Because at the end of the day, everyone's going to be in a classroom for like 90 minutes.
I think I might have a
It's
compromise.
the same exact deal.
I think I have
Across
a
the
compromise. Say we implement UBI. What if half of your UBI pays for your school while you get the other half if you are enrolled in a college? That is a...
That has to be, I think, okay, so I was going to bring that point up earlier that UBI is
You're
to
lagging
pay
really hard.
for college itself instead of creating... Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're going to do that, but every time you start talking, it goes,
Yeah, I don't know what's up with it.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
If you want, turn off your camera feed when you speak. It might help your bandwidth stay up with us.
Here, let me just like disconnect from the Wi-Fi. But what I was saying is, UBI can be used to pay for college for tens of millions of American kids.
Most definitely.
Because parents could save up. The parents that don't need UBI now, they don't need it to survive. They can use that over the years and save it up to pay for their kids' college education instead of us creating a whole new budget and probably increasing taxes more to pay for college for everybody. Because I don't think everybody even needs to go to college. I think wages should be raised for a lot of like so-called minimum wage jobs that are should not be like minimum wage jobs.
When I think minimum wage, I think a livable wage. For the most part, and right now minimum wage is below a livable wage. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how when I think minimum wage, it should be livable wage. Because back in the 70s, you could work at McDonald's on minimum wage, pay for your college, and still have some left over. And now we're at the...
So
It's a fantastic point, because the wages have not increased as much as the cost of everything.
They've literally been stagnant.
Let's lower the price of everything else. Make money worth more instead of making everything else worth.
With the wage increase, it would not make things as expensive as a lot of people say. They do not know economics well enough to know that increasing the wage to where more people could actually buy things, the demand for things would go up, but the supply could also go up because then more people want it. It would balance itself back out.
Have you seen how many crops the farmers are dumping right now because the demand is down so badly?
I'm not even surprised about that, but that's probably a lot because of the tariffs that were put on China and shit. Because those tariffs hurt our farming super bad. Like,
right. America has a fantastic farming industry. I mean, I love the farming industry. I wanted to be a farmer. Well, if I can leave this hellhole of the state, I'm moving somewhere I can have a farm and a tractor.
Before we get too far on the farms, I think factory farming is okay in some instances. Like, if you don't have enough land to have a lot of local farms like Japan does, they factory farm still very, very good for the animals. But we factory farm so badly for our animals that they hardly move. And that makes poor quality in terms of our food and in our production and efficiency. If we had more local farms, we could have better prices on our food, especially healthier food, because we wouldn't have to ship it from get all our potatoes from Idaho or Utah or shit like that. We could have potatoes here. I know we can because my dad fucking grew them in the backyard. And they were pretty fucking good.
And we would have wealthier farmers.
Exactly.
As well.
Let me talk to you about the meat. Locally grown meat. My brother runs a food truck. He runs a food truck. You know where he gets his meat?
Locally, more than likely.
From a farm bound past Milton. And I tell you, it's not as expensive as everybody thinks it's going to be. You know, they buy their meat in large quantities,
which probably helps lower the price, though.
They make quarter-pound burgers, and
they're fucking delicious, by the way.
Yeah. Pat knows. They're $8 for a standard burger.
I got the
You
$10
know, and
one
that
because I'm a bitch. I wanted the
I
big
always
one.
get the big one anyway because I like the big one. But uh, you know, locally grown meat is delicious because it's not as heavily regulated as these factory. What the hell are you doing?
I got a little bit of a gut now, if you can tell a little bit. It's a little bit. I've gotten a little bit fat since high school, obviously, but that's
Hell
also
yeah.
because I'm pretty sure I have a herniated disc and I can't hardly use my back. So
I overexert myself every day at work, and I really need to quit, or else I'm going to be crippled.
well, you
I'm
can
a-
overexert yourself if you know how to also make sure you don't overexert yourself too much to where you hurt yourself. Well, then you need to stop doing that. And if we had more, if it, this will tie into healthcare. I don't know how you guys feel about universal Medicare for all. I don't know.
Healthcare's weird.
Healthcare is a human right and is an essential because everyone gets hurt. There's no way to keep yourself from never getting hurt and shit or getting sick. Until we make ourselves genetically immune to disease and from hurting ourselves, we will always need healthcare. And that's why I think healthcare also should be a human right and funded through our government because we already have a budget on it. And if because we have Medicaid and Medicare, and if we just expanded that to everyone instead of having private insurance, because private insurance fucks people out of millions of dollars, because you still have to pay even though you have insurance.
Yep.
And you've already paid them. You have to still do co-pays after that, and that's fucking stupid.
Let me bring something up here real quick that I think would be really important to talk about. Healthcare wouldn't be that big of a deal if everybody didn't need it. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the thing. Everyone gets hurt and everyone gets sick.
Right. Everyone gets hurt and everyone gets sick. But look at all of the times that people have these reoccurring illnesses. How many people get, cancers from their jobs? How many people are obese like me? If we were all brought up a little bit, if we had the better education not to overeat, if food was better,
Even
like
if that
locally
was
grown
true,
food,
even
stuff
if
like
that was
that.
true, we would still get sick and hurt. So,
But it would be much easier to manage. It'd be much smaller than you'd have. If you didn't have 50 fat people crowding up the waiting room, then the guy with the broken arm could get his freaking arm.
What the thing with Medicare is like if you need a surgery or something right now, you get it. That's how it works in Canada. That's how it works in the UK. If you need it, you get it. If it's an elective surgery like like you have a surgery you do need, but it can be laid off because it's not life threatening, then you won't get the care first. It'll go to the person that's bleeding out right now coming in the ER.
I think that's good. Frankly.
So you agree with the Medicare for all as well?
Well, I mean, like, not necessarily that. I don't know. Listen, I've always said this. I'm a dumbass when it comes to healthcare. I don't really know much about this. I've tried to research it, dude. I'm really like on top of my game on a number of subjects out there.
You're very ignorant of Medicare.
I'm very ignorant about that whole.
Well, that's the thing. I understand you don't like opening up new budgets. This already has a budget because we have Medicare and Medicaid. It's being paid into for people that are above, I think, 65 right now or 60. I don't remember. Or if you're disabled, you get it too.
Or because my dad gets it at 58.
My brother gets it, I'm pretty sure, because he's mildly mentally retarded, ADHD, and autism. He's liable, so he will hurt himself eventually, and he has. And he's had that Medicare for him. And since I'm on my dad's Medicaid, I get it until I'm 25, which I'm thankful for, because if I didn't get the help I needed right now, I can't barely work out. If I had to get a job that's manual labor and inducive, I'm fucked. Because I'm going to pull my back one day, be fully crippled because my nerves are going to rocket, and I'm going to fucking be paralyzed from my waist out.
Yeah, but you couldn't do my job, Pat. It would kill you.
But that's the thing. I've been working with this since sophomore year. It's just it hasn't gotten as bad until recently. And I'm thankful for that because I was very in shape, and my muscles were strong enough to make it to where the herniated disc was not prevalent on coming out of the socket. It was somewhat out, but not to the point where I was crippled in any type of way. At this point, I would be crippled if I were to overexert myself in any way, because I'm not in shape already. I have let myself go.
In high school, you would have kicked my ass, but right now I could probably just hurt you real quickly.
If I didn't exert my back too bad, I could probably still take you. But I'm not as nimble as I once was. But I'm still quite strong. I'm still very strong because I still lift shit and I try and keep my arms in shape to some degree because I'm gonna have to lift stuff eventually. So having the basic arm muscle helps. And I try and keep my back as healthy as I can with some like leg lifts, a little bit of an ab workout, just a little something to make sure it doesn't get too weak. But if I hold my posture for so long, that's why you'll see me do this sometimes, where I have to readjust and shit, is because my back starts aching. Imagine being able to sit here and after 10 minutes you just can't sit there. You have to like slouch, you have to lean back and get comfortable because your back just can't handle it.
Well, I worked in a call center. That's 8 hours a day. You're sitting in a chair staring at a computer screen, and that's hell on your back. People don't think it is, but it is if you don't take care of it.
That'll cause muscle strains and shit, and that's enough to take you out for at least a week sometimes if it's bad enough. But with something like this, I don't know how bad it is. I have overexerted myself because at Wendy's, I used to work at Wendy's in Cross Lanes. I used to unload the trucks by myself and then be back on the line in less than an hour.
That's bull crap.
And I can't tell you how many times I went to lift and then I had to stop, back up, and stretch for like 2 minutes to make sure my back was okay to try and lift again. Because I would even lift properly, and my back was so weak that it would still cave in under the pressure sometimes.
So what about people that, let's say, they made very unhealthy lifestyle decisions for decades on end? I don't know, like, necessarily, like, we should never deny healthcare, but should they not go in debt for that? Because that is their fault. Is debt really something that we should deny people if they deserve it? That's one of my things.
Debt, to be honest.
Well, I think the biggest example of that is drug abusers. How many times do you resuscitate somebody who overdoses on heroin before you finally say, fuck this guy?
I think it should be, like, infinite because everyone deserves another chance. But our rehabs are not...
Because we had better rehabilitation.
Our rehabs suck cock. They're terrible. They're awful. If we had better rehabs, if we didn't have this war on drugs, if it wasn't so stigmatized to want to use recreational drugs of any type that didn't fully fuck you up like meth or something, like alcohol, that's not stigmatized, but it's still hard as fuck to go into AA or something.
Yes. Right. Alcohol is probably the easiest peer pressured, I would say drug, because it's easy to say it like that. How many times in high school people are like, you're going to a party, we're going to drink and shit like that,
Yeah.
And it can be a start to a long and deadly path for some people. Some people have addictive personalities,
And a lot of people are so stigmatized to get help because they don't want to be seen as a lazy, good-for-nothing piece of shit.
They don't want to be seen as weak cowards. That's what it is.
But that's all into it because our drug war has stigmatized anyone that does any type of drug as a bad guy when they're not. Because you smoke the legal nicotine and you're not a bad person. You go out, do your job, you try and live your life. You need a little relief sometimes, and that's how you do it.
Which, personally, I think tobacco ought to be outlawed.
Prohibition never works.
Honestly, let's be real. Let's be fucking real.
Prohibition does not help.
Tobacco should be outlawed. Tobacco should be fucking outlawed. 100,000%.
I don't think tobacco should not be outlawed because it's just like pot and alcohol. It's a recreational drug and it should be used accordingly to a moderation. But no matter what, someone's going to do it. And prohibition does not help stop people because they're going to do it regardless.
This is what I truly think. I think tobacco is so hard to grow that if we abolish it, tens of millions of people will stop consuming it. That's what I think.
But how many people are still going to do it? There's still going to be a small percentage, and there's a market for that. So why not keep the market open to make more money for the economy?
I know. I'm just saying, if we wanted to like stop people from doing it, we really could, because tobacco is not easy to grow.
It is not.
Especially in mass quantities.
From a health perspective, modern cigarettes are so bad for you.
Well, it's because of all the chemicals and shit that are used on them. If you got straight up normal tobacco, it's so much less harmful on your lungs. It's still harmful, but it's not as bad.
Which I would be perfectly fine with that being legal as recreational use, but, seeing my dad have to go through almost a pack of cigarettes a day is really painful, because it cuts time off of his life. It's the less time I have with him.
My dad does the same thing, and I hate to see it. And you know how my dad is. He's got, I think, like 40% lung function at this point, and he's got 50% blood blockages in his arteries and shit.
My God,
he's not nuts. Healthy, and
it raises my dad's blood pressure, and it causes him to have all kinds of issues.
If we do have cigarettes, I do think they need to be regulated to where they're not as dangerous, but we need to do what Australia does, where they have pictures of like what it does to your lungs, what it does to your jaw and shit on the packages, with a big warning saying, "Is this what you want to do to yourself?"
I don't think that works for everybody.
It doesn't.
I'm not saying it works.
I see that shit personally, and I fucking laugh my ass off because I'm like, ha ha ha.
I can hear on the internet and watch people blow their heads off and get run over and like torn open. I can watch gore all day long, but it does not.
That's the thing. I'm not trying to stop everyone from doing it. I'm just trying. It'll minimalize it to some degree.
Right, like.
And if rehabs are more accessible and are actually rehabs instead of a lot of these Christian ones where you sit there and you read the fucking Bible, or you get there's one in there, I think there's one in Miami.
With you.
There's one, I don't remember where it's at, but you literally just go and pet horses. That's how you rehab. That's not helping anybody.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I don't have to be addicted. I
don't even have to be an addict to enjoy that shit. What the fuck?
Are you enjoying that? Yes. Is that helping you with your addiction, though? Just going up and petting a horse? No, that's not doing shit for your addiction.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's going to help or not.
Could it help if it was a part of a therapy? Yes. Does it help if you're just going out to pet horses and pay some person money because they opened a rehab to fuck addiction people over? No, that's not helping anybody.
Somebody man told me 5 miles out in Amish country and I looked at a horse for 30 minutes. Hell no, I'd want to smoke a whole fucking pack of cigarettes.
Like, wait, are we talking about rehab for cigarettes?
No. Rehab for anything. Rehab for anything.
Okay. Maybe there shouldn't be rehab. I don't think it works because there's a 99% relapse rate for certain drugs.
Yes, but that's because
so maybe we should just decriminalize drugs and make the drugs themselves safer through legalization or distribution.
Didn't we talk about this years ago, building facilities for people could do whatever the fuck they wanted in them?
We did this in Pitzers. I don't know if Abe was there, but me and you were, Phil.
Well, I agree with the concept because it actually happens in a number of countries where they distribute, not healthy, but like non-lethal doses of heroin and other drugs for addicts because they need it because they will withdraw, and some die from withdrawal.
Yeah, so I think strong enough to kill you. I think
being the capitalist society we are, I think we can still put those people to use and use them to produce something good.
That market is going to have people paying for it, and if it's distributed like through the FDA, which is a government-run shit, that would be more money for people in the government, and therefore making the government be able to provide more for us.
If nobody, if you have to pass a drug test to be able to work and make the money legally, how are these people going to acquire that much money to fund?
Not all jobs are going to be like that. Some jobs are going to allow you are going to be more open to drugs. Some of them are not, and they shouldn't be, like a doctor or a fucking underwater welder and shit. There are going to be limitations, but that's on the companies. That's not going to be on the government to do. And if you hurt someone while being on these drugs, you're still going to be prosecuted and arrested for committing a crime. But it's not going to be because of the drug, it's what you did while on the drug.
So then we need to focus on occupations that inebriated people
Can do.
Universal basic income will stop drug addicts from committing crimes that lead them into jail.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm sick and tired of these goddamn crackheads underneath, that run past the house at night and steal shit from my basement.
Hell yeah!
Because poverty is the number one reason why crime has happened. It's in every socioeconomic book that's modern will tell you that poverty increases crime. We are one of the poorest states, and we don't have that bad of crime, but that's a good thing in some ways. But all of our crime has happened through drugs. That's where our crime is, and that's why most of it isn't violent crime.
Hey, Pat Pont, I have an idea.
Spill it, bro.
I feel like this has been an evolving conversation for a long time. Let's switch to a completely different topic.
We can do
that has absolutely nothing to do with what we've been talking, because this has been an evolving conversation for quite some time. I love it.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Do we have anything else we want to say on the subjects that we had, just so we can wrap it up and then we can move to another topic? I don't give a fuck to change topics. I just want to make sure everyone has said what they want to say.
I will say this. The problems we have laid out, explained, can be solved a lot by universal basic income, petty crime that leads people to jail, that causes a greater burden on the taxpayers for like a prison population or like jail upkeep, whatever.
Along with decriminalizing drugs and bettering our education system. That alone, which that's not a left or a right thing, although like in certain instances it can be, because the right likes to debudget things while the left likes to add budget things. I don't know how to say that correctly, but everyone wants a better education. Everyone wants better opportunities. Everyone wants less crime, and we see this way. And everyone will earn 90% of the people on UBI will be earning their UBI. So that's American as fuck. And anyone who likes welfare will like UBI. And Republicans, as well as Democrats and independents and who gives a fucks, they all love welfare. Because everyone above a certain age gets it, or is disabled gets it, and they pay into it, except for the ones that can't, obviously, the disabled ones and shit. But most of them worked at some point and did pay into it at some point.
Yeah, so UBI, at the end of the day, would be a giant tax return for basically all tax-paying Americans. It's a tax return every month, and most people are going to pay more than $1,000 a month in taxes.
Exactly.
So let's think about that for a second. The fact it's just a tax return, whether you're right, left, middle, whatever. UBI
is a good
kind of appeals to everybody in a different way. So I think it's a positive thing we should do for sure. 100%.
I am not fully capitalist. I do like markets, but I like a regulated market, at least to some degree, because unregulated markets cause monopolies and for shit like what's happening in America now to happen. Some regulation is needed, but we are at the point to where we could actually work towards a resource-based economy, to where everyone gets the basic resources they need, and if they need more, they find a way to do that. Currency would still be a thing, but it would be more for luxury items to a degree, and everything that's a basic essential, everyone would already have.
Agreed.
Like food and housing, because we could pay. I forget. Let me look this up real quick. I think it's like a.
2 words. Money will no longer be legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Not necessarily. It would be for most things, but luxuries and stuff like that wouldn't necessarily put you into debt unless you were just stupid. But all your basic commodities and shit that you need to survive as a human being would be given to you as needed, because everyone needs food, everyone needs water, everyone needs shelter, everyone needs healthcare, everyone needs internet or something, or whatever it'll be in the future. Everyone needs that. And we could make an economy based off that, and if everyone has that, we could then invest more of our money into stuff that could boost the economy in other ways. And our economy could boom significantly off of that. And if we're exporting our food and stuff to where everyone on Earth has that, then everyone would have their basic commodities or essentials, I should say, not commodities, making the world economy just humongous in itself. And there wouldn't be starving people. There wouldn't be people without a house. There wouldn't be people without health care and shit.
And you know what? Actually, a perfect idea for the next topic we could jump into is the colonization of Mars.
Let's fucking go,
I'm down
baby!
for that. Just give me 1 minute.
Because all of what we've talked about is going to definitely come into play whenever man steps foot onto the red planet.
Our government could easily fix the homeless crisis we have in America. Easily. It's only $12.7 billion to house everyone that is homeless right now.
Well, look how many houses are being torn down, especially in Nitro there. They're tearing down all
several, I know.
That costs way more to do than it would be to take. They could tear down a couple houses, save the good materials from them, and rebuild them. It's not that hard.
Well,
Plenty of people.
That's just straight up building new houses on new land. That I'm pretty sure that's proposing. So if you're not finding new land and finding new resources, and a lot of these resources are being reused, that will lower the cost in general, and that would create jobs. That would create a new real estate infrastructure that is so poor in our country. And after that, those people that are still doing construction jobs, get to the roads. We're going to make new roads now. Because America gets a D- fucking infrastructure score against other countries, and that's fucking embarrassing as an American.
Well, it also makes a lot of sense because look how big America is compared to these other countries. You brought up France earlier on the internet. France is probably about the size of what, Texas? So maybe a little bit bigger. I don't know.
France is almost as big as Texas, I'm pretty sure. I think maybe it's bigger. I'm not sure.
I'm looking it up right now. It's roughly the same size. France is 268,058 square miles, while it's 800 square miles bigger. And those countries are significantly older than ours. And the most recent time we updated our infrastructure was in the 40s with the New Deal. Now, I think we should make another New Deal.
And Eisenhower's interstate system.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we should build upon that because that's an American ideal right there. So let's make more jobs with a New Deal to make better infrastructure. And if our infrastructure is better and more efficient, that alone would help boost our economy.
Well, look at this. Have you seen the news that they are going to start Hyperloop development in West Virginia?
That is very interesting, but Hyperloop can only do so much.
But it's a start in the right direction.
It is a start in the right direction, but we should
for green energy, nuclear energy, solar energy. Definitely. I love that stuff, but I don't want coal. Coal. Leave it or take it. I don't want oil and gas cars to completely disappear because then I'm pretty much out of a job. There's only so much you can plug on a back.
You would then become a mechanic for electric cars and shit, because they need that too. They need worked on and shit. But
it also goes to the state of don't fix it, just replace it. We're already at that state with gas-powered vehicles now. You don't fix an alternator, you replace the damn thing. You don't fix the engine, you replace the damn thing.
Not everyone knows how to do that, though. That's why we need specialized people like you.
I sit there
and that's a good point, Patrick, because if you look at it from a market perspective, if you become that guy or that company that specializes in mechanics, like whatever for electric cars, if we're in that type of economy where it's like a replace it instead of repairing it or whatever, you could be that guy to say, hey, you don't need to do that. I can.
Look at this. This is a good example. There's a guy on YouTube right now named Rich Rebuilds, and he has bought several wrecked, burned up, drowned Teslas and tried to rebuild them. And Tesla has hit him hard with a lawsuit that says, hey, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You do that one more time, we're going to put your ass in jail.
That's a slap suit. that's a thing that's illegal in most states, but West Virginia is not one of them. And they can sue him from West Virginia since he is technically doing it on YouTube and it's a company. That company is not just where he lives. And they can sue him from West Virginia with a slap suit. And slap suits need to be illegal as fuck because they're just trying to scare him into not redoing shit like that.
Well, and it can take away from their business, yes, but at what percentage? If everybody is rebuilding their Tesla, then nobody's going to buy a new one.
Well, there'd still be people buying new ones because rich people are going to get the new one as soon as it comes out, maybe even before it comes out.
It's the same with phones, but at what point does it need to be regulated, or does it at all? Will it regulate itself?
It will regulate itself, like most things, because mechanics and shit are regulated. There are a lot less of them because more people can kind of do some of the stuff themselves that mechanics can do more easily. But for a more specialized job, like completely taking out an engine and shit, only a few people know how to do that and will do that on their own without a mechanic. A lot of mechanics will be the ones to do that. And I know you don't want gas cars and shit to go away, and I don't think they will ever go fully away. They'll be more like collector's items.
Even if they do go fully away as mainstream modern vehicles, it's going to be probably about 30 to 40 years.
And even
with 100 years, but dude, no, 100 years.
Really? Look how far the internet has come in 20 years.
Yes, but that technology for that, we'd have to build a whole new infrastructure for electric cars alone because there are not charging stations everywhere. There's like one or two in West Virginia at all. And
what? My God.
There's a few of them because it's a big tourist destination.
Well, yeah, in like the richer places they have them, but like in most of West Virginia, they're not any fucking where.
And it's funny because I've actually, speaking of Tesla and being a mechanic, just this week we did some illegal repairs to a Tesla that would be illegal under Tesla's warranty. But, there's a Tesla service station anywhere in this state. You'd have to drive 4 hours out of state to find one.
I don't see
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah.
You're specializing in something that is not common where you are, so you're seizing the moment economically.
Yeah, that is an economic power grab right there.
That's good. Though it's illegal, apparently, under Tesla's whatever. But
I mean, they could sue us if they wanted to. But,
honestly, the government should get involved into that because that right there should be illegal to do. Because no other company can go, you can't work on my vehicle if you're not a part of my, people. So why does Tesla get to do that?
Right. Well, I mean, it's just like I know BMW was bad about this, and still be. You buy a new BMW, there is actually one model that it voids your warranty if you even open the hood and look at the engine. I'm not kidding. You can actually void your warranty by looking at your engine because only the specialized trained techs are allowed to do that under BMW.
Wow, that's fucking fucked up.
But they don't need to be to the point where only that company can have it because that makes a monopoly on who you're going to buy, repair, and sell your car to at that point, and that's a monopoly, and that needs to not fucking happen.
Right, and it kills small business. Would void.
That's where government regulation comes in to make sure monopolies and shit can't fully come out, because there needs to be something else other than the monopoly. That's why some regulations have always been put in places to stop monopolies.
But listen, Patrick, if the radical left takes over and they start taking care of these monopolies, they're also going to do things like crazy radical left-wing liberal nutjob crazy-ass bullshit along with that. And it's not going to be like an equilibrium of it's not going to like the pros and cons are not going to be there. Okay,
there's going to be more pros than cons. I agree.
No. I'm saying all right.
There will be more pros because I am a far leftist. I don't know where on that spectrum I am. I know I'm not authoritarian in any part of a authoritarian left, but I am leftist.
Let's talk about something we haven't talked about. Okay, so a lot of the ideas that we're proposing can only be proposed by one side or the other. And this is just like a realistic timeline of things. Okay, so if any of these things we've talked about happen, let's say we take away car companies' abilities to like make it to where whatever
they have
is
the monopoly
voided.
on how that stuff works.
If like they have a monopoly on like fixing the car or whatever. If we have a government that actually makes it to where that's illegal, they're probably going to do some other wacky tacky shit, which is going to make it harder, at least for them to get elected on those wacky tacky shit ideas in an election, because the Republicans are going to be like,
by that company, then yeah, because then they're going to lose their funding. But if in my ideal sense, if you want to become a political person, you can get a loan or something and shit. You don't have to go to fucking whoever to pay for everything you do. You can still get donations from like small people, like Bernie Sanders did. He got all his donations from people that were poverty ridden. They like his average donation was like $11 or some shit like that. And
right, but what I'm saying is like
most of our politicians are fucking corporatist like scumbags that are being paid millions on the side to put in regulations that the corporations want. That's why a lot of monopolies and shit are existing right now, even though they shouldn't.
It's just that in my eyes and in my mind, a lot of the things that we're talking about are positive, but like if we actually got someone there that was really like if they were really legitimately running on the idea of opening up centers to distribute legal heroin, if they actually ran on UBI, if they actually ran on like even marijuana legalization, I have fear as like a libertarian, free market capitalist, constitutional loving person that like if we get anyone like that supports these ideas, they're going to support too many of the ideas that I disagree with, and that like too much of the country disagrees with for any of these ideas to get done. So I guess my question is like, how do we even go about going forward? How do we elect people that can be trusted by everybody?
By having people not be corporatist pigs and actually have a popular vote and shit.
We're trying to build the perfect politician, and there are no perfect politicians.
The politician has to represent you, but they will have their own ideals as well. If you don't like something that they propose, and someone has ideals like them, but are against certain ideals that they are for that you disagree with, then you go for that politician. There'll be more politicians to go for instead of two people like we're doing now.
So then maybe it would be easier theoretically to abolish all representatives and we represent our freaking selves.
That
down
to that
individual
point,
vote.
That would just be making certain people politicians, because not everyone will have the time to represent themselves, and the government will not have enough.
But then they lose out. If we could set aside, let's say a week out of the year, for everybody to sit down and we can discuss. There will be live news and everything, and everybody is paid to be able to join in. Everything is covered. Everybody has access to this. Free refreshments, and stuff like that. And we all sit down and make decisions every year on what to do.
Having a council that will help. Having a council that helps our representatives know what we want, and then we vote in those councils what those representatives are then going to propose. It would just be another set of political stuff.
I have an idea. It runs off of Phil's idea. All right?
This is where ranked choice voting would come into play.
We need to have a week set aside, just like Phil said, where the entire United States comes together and we just discuss ideas, how we want to move forward as a country.
A week would not be enough time to fully discuss all these ideas. It would have to be a monthly basis thing to keep updating ourselves on what's doing better, what's doing worse, and shit.
So then we take a weekend out of every month and do it.
No. Just 1 week. One special, super special week of the year where we just do this, okay? And it's televised, and also every single public high school, hosts their entire community to watch whatever public national debates between our leaders or whatever during this week.
It's a week
every
holiday,
single day.
and you don't have to
Yeah.
work or anything. And
And the whole
shit's
community
provided.
comes together at the high schools and watches national debates of leaders, and then the community people themselves can debate ideas among themselves at the high schools.
I think a week is perfect. Everybody can find time to sit down and celebrate Christmas for 2 days out of the year.
Yeah.
Why can't we set aside a week to improve our life conditions?
Because
we can have a week of just debate and conversation on a national scale.
Because
All we
with
need
our
is discussion.
democracy, we have no holiday set up for elections. There is election day, but election day still isn't a national holiday fully, so you don't get time off. So if we had a national election week, and we had a national election day, and then we have several debates before we get to November still, technically, we need to have, like, 3 days every time there's a debate to have 3 days fully off for those people to come up with ideas or debate about the ideas given to figure out what we want. And that's when we bring in ranked choice voting, to where you get to also then vote on policies, not just politicians. That way the majority still gets what the majority wants, because they will have the majority of the ranked votes, and those policies can then be put through our representatives, who will make the best policies, hopefully, and then push those forward, and then they will, just like the popular vote thing I was talking about, it would bring in the popular vote down to even just a policy.
So so here's how I would bridge the divide between people who don't like the Electoral College and people that may like the Electoral College, but they want to get shit done in government. They don't like stagnation or whatever. Like you said, we should vote less.
Voting, but maybe there's like several policies where you're either for or against it, and if there's a majority for it, then it gets implemented. But if there's ones like, here's a certain way these policies are done, and you can vote on which one you like best out of the like implementations of it.
Then every policy that anybody has an idea for is proposed, and then it's gone down a list, and everybody at home is provided with a free government clicker. Vote yes if you'd like to vote. Vote no if you would not. Submit your votes now. Make it a televised event. Make it fun.
Make it the next American Idol back in 2009.
But what I was gonna say is, to your point, Patrick, we should vote. We should literally vote less on politicians, and the people should vote for policies. The policies should be on like the ballot box. Yes,
but we still need politicians, because politicians still need to run other things and whatnot.
Yeah, of course, but we need to put more policies, at least statewide policies, on ballot boxes to be voted on by the people. And if the people vote for it, they should be implemented for sure. 100%.
It should be more about the policy the person represents than what the person thinks they want. I mean, I'm sick and tired of electing local politicians, especially, that just sit there and collect the paycheck and think, I think I'm voting no today just because it's Tuesday.
In the 2016 election, Florida had a referendum on marijuana legalization. Their entire population voted in favor of it, because it was up to the people. The fact that they made it up to the people made marijuana legal. If that was so in every other state, marijuana would be legal across the board, because most people agree.
It made people feel like they had more power to vote. It made people feel more I'd feel more represented in my choice if, my vote was being directly counted, instead of some guy that I voted for 3 years ago deciding, well, no, it's Thursday, so I'm voting no.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. There should be more policies on ballots than politicians, honestly.
It should be more real-time representation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we can definitely have real-time representation. We're in the fucking 21st century. We don't live in the 1800s anymore.
So first we need to restructure all of the infrastructure, and then we can start working on real-time representation. That's a perfect word for it. I mean,
so how do you all feel about voting via internet? I'm not too keen on that, but in a way, I kind of am, because it's like I know it could be secure because I put my social security on things online, put my bank account information online. No one else has access to it. They're not hacking into my shit. Maybe they could. They're not. Maybe they would have votes. Probably not if it was developed in a professional, highly technological, way. I don't really know.
We
It
could
could
definitely
happen.
make it a very secure thing to where there would still be paper. Paper trail is always good to have. So you would still have, everyone could get mailed a paper ballot, or if they wanted to, they could go to a booth if it was safe to go and vote for that then as well. But also having the virtual thing would make it quicker and shit, but the paper trail would also have to keep up with it to make sure it's correct. So when we do our virtual thing, we will have a good bit of our, if people are more incentivized to use a mail-in vote, well, it could come in almost concurrently
At the same time.
Yeah, almost
At the same
time.
It could just all happen at the same time. They could set it up to where all ballots online or on paper are received at the same time. Also, I remember 2016 election, I stayed up till 5 a.m. to find the official result of the election, and I skipped school the next day because I didn't want to sleep for 2 hours and then wake up. I was just like, fuck it. Trump won. I'm going to take the day off. But yeah, that's how it took too long.
It would certainly minimize recounts.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
And I think I would be more in favor of a paper ballot if I knew it was perfectly secure.
It is
we need to
secure,
stop. Well, let me get you here. Did you see that video of? And I have no idea what was in any of the letters or containers of the post office worker dumping stuff into a dumpster.
No, I did not, but I don't know how relevant or how factual that is. I'd need to do my research on it.
I don't know either, but who's to say it doesn't happen every day? And mail just gets destroyed sometimes. I had a package delivered last week. It was in the freaking ditch and it was soaking wet.
With mail ballots, they have a special thing to do with them. They have special places for them, and
it doesn't need to be grouped in with the normal mail. It should not be picked up by the postman. It should be driven around and picked up by a specialized, secured, armored vehicle.
With people with fully automatic machine guns with former military service under fucking contract by the U.S. government. They should be people fucking picking up mail-in ballots. Honestly, that's what I think.
I'm okay with that, but the U.S. Postal Service does a good job. But I do understand why you wouldn't want them to be with the same services and shit. I do. It should be. It should be the United States voting service. They help give you what you need to vote, and they also help take your vote to where it needs to go.
It'd be even better to implement more jobs because you could help seniors vote. My grandma sure as hell wouldn't know what to do. She's 94, almost 94. She tried to sign into her email 36 times today. I know because I got 36 emails saying failed sign-in attempt.
Oh my god!
Before anything...
Grandma, do you need help?
Before anything, Andy Garcia wants to. Andy Garcia wants in, Abe. If you want to add him or something, he wants to get in on this.
I didn't know I'm gonna go take a piss. So. Andy Garcia, let him on. I'll be right back. I know him. He's my good friend.
Can you
Can I wait? What?
Can you add him to the call first? If he has Skype. I don't know if you have him on Skype or not, but...
Andy! I want to go take a piss real fast. I'll be right back.
I told him to DM me on my Twitter. I don't know if he did it or not. I put it in the chat. It's at PatPont13, all lowercase. I have a goofy-looking fucking picture of me with my face distorted. Send me your Skype there. If he's not back before I get you added, then you're in before he gets back. If not, he'll add you when he gets back.
I'm actually kind of surprised that somebody's watching this.
It said we had 3 concurrent viewers when I checked.
I saw 5 at one point.
I can check on it through my phone.
Oh, damn it. I wanted to go meet up.
Holy shit, it's been 2 hours.
I want to see Dave before he leaves, because who knows when he's coming back home.
I really want to see Dave before he leaves too, and I probably will since I'm not really doing much. But Michael's trying to get people to chill with him right now. I think
I don't even know where Mike lives.
in Cross Lanes.
Hmm.
He said, "All right, who's all free to meet up before David leaves?"
I mean, I am tonight, but I'm leaving at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be in Ohio all weekend.
Hello.
Okay, Andy said he went to Xbox. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you can also add him or not. I don't know if he still wants to. If he's still watching.
I'll Discord him. But hey, I want to discuss a new topic, religion, because I see Patrick.
I haven't changed much.
I know you post a lot of like atheist neckbeard memes on Facebook that are super, 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 super fucking edgy and offensive, and I love it. And
some of it is straight up cringe. I'll be the first.
some
Some
of it is pretty fucking cringy. I'm like, oh my god, I'm embarrassed to like not even believe in religion just because of this fucking meme. I'm like, I would rather be a fucking Christian right now than a fucking atheist. Because
have you seen their memes? Have you seen Christian
I know,
memes? They're so bad.
I know, I know. But
I'm not
talk about that for a little bit. Phil, I know you were a Christian in high school. Whatever happened to that, buddy?
I grew up.
Me and Zach had talked too much to Phil. It's mostly me. Because Zach's not wasn't at Poca for.
Not only, if you grew up in the household with my mother, you'd understand that. Wow, whatever this woman's on is bullshit.
Oh yeah.
So, Patrick, were you raised Christian?
Yes, I was Christian until I was about 12. Protestant, Baptist, what the evangelicals are most likely. I actually got super into it. I got into it like really hard. I learned a lot about it, and then started learning the faults of it, and where it's just bullshit. It's created to control people. That's all it is. It's
okay.
A cult.
So that's origin. Abe, what's your origin? Let's all go through our origins here.
Okay, so my father and his family believe in Islam, and my mother and her family believe in Christianity, and both have believed in these religions for, as far as I can tell, hundreds of years. So I am the product of a lineage of two conflicting religions, two conflicting, cultures.
And they're Christian and Muslim, right? Is that correct?
Right.
I wanted to make sure that. The funny thing is they both believe in the same God. If you really get down into like the thick of their shit, it's the same God. It's just the different prophets and slightly different rules.
Now here's the thing with Islam and Christianity. Islam,
they've been fighting for so long, but they literally worship the same shit. It's kind of hilarious.
They recognize the same prophets, except here's the defining, like the defining technical of that defines
what they are,
one religion from the other. Islam believes that Muhammad is the last final and prophet. Like he's the final prophet of God. Whereas, and that he delivered the last like recitation of revelations of God, while Christians believe that Jesus is the Son of God, God incarnate, God in the flesh of human form, that like died for everyone's sins, and you ask for him for forgiveness of your sins. That's what Christians believe. Someone who believes in Islam they don't believe that you ask Jesus for forgiveness. They regard Jesus as a prophet, not as God in the flesh or God or
that's
like
really
prophet.
Honestly the only difference, other than like some other tiny rules depending on the book and stuff.
Tiny rules, tiny differences of lore. Like in Islam, they don't regard Lucifer or Satan as an angel. They regard him as like a spirit or a jinn that was created to tempt humanity on purpose. They don't believe him to be like an angel fallen, as Christians do.
Yeah, which gets into
That's
the
a tiny
thing.
difference.
Do you know what like Mormonism's like thing is where Joseph Smith is a prophet or whatever the fuck, even though like they've been debunked 1,000 times and shit. Oh Jesus! Do you know what Jehovah's Witnesses are? Like, do you know their like
Yes.
lore and shit?
Freak.
Yeah, I do. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that about 142,000 people will make it to heaven.
Yeah, so like,
and
honestly, what's
days.
the point in joining? They've already got more than enough members.
Right. It's whatever.
There's a great YouTube channel exposing Jehovah's Witnesses.
Is it
I have to remember.
Telltale?
Yes.
He's from West Virginia. He's cool as shit.
I know. I was gonna say I think he's local. I think I know who he is, but I'm not gonna.
Have you watched Jimmy Snow? He's kind of like Telltale, but he's from the Mormon side of it. He used to be Mormon and shit, and he got out of it. He also was like, I'm assuming, because I don't remember his whole backstory, I think he was molested by someone that was Mormon and shit. So like, he's got a pretty rough backstory, but he's funny as hell and cool as hell.
I'll have to look him up because I'm not familiar with that. But
the only people I listen to regarding religion is Christopher Hitchens, Dawkins, Sam Harris, some Neil deGrasse Tyson, even though he's a fucking absurd asshat sometimes. But
yeah. He's a gatekeeper for sure.
Yeah, he's really I love him though, dude. I went to one of his lectures. What is that noise?
That was my dad. I'm sorry. He wanted to come in and make a joke.
God.
My dad had throat cancer. That's why he sounds like that.
Holy shit! I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
But a point I wanted to make was
I don't know if you guys can understand how he talks, but it's second nature to me. But he had a stoma. He had a hole in his throat for a trach, and then he had a experimental thing to where he didn't have to keep it in his throat, but part of his vocal line was cut out, so he's kind of stuck at a certain vocal range and shit. That's like really scratchy.
Very interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
The cool thing is the doctor said I could fix that for you, but unfortunately that is like an elective, so they can't do it for free. He'd have to pay out of pocket. So.
Oh fuck.
Which is really gay or whatever, because I'd like to have his normal voice back, because hearing shit like that all the time isn't the greatest. Because it also limits how loud he can be, because he can't be very loud. So like, if he's trying to talk to me sometimes and I'm just not paying attention or whatever, I won't hear him. So
right. Dude, I forgot. The point I wanted to make earlier. I remember in high school, I made a Mormon girl cry.
Good.
Because I was explaining to her how, like, Mormonism does not coincide with reality. Actual Christianity.
It doesn't
coincide
not
with
reality or anything. So that's why it's a cult outside of normal Christianity.
Like,
if
it
you guys
did not
want to know more
coincide
about
with
that,
Christianity.
Telltale definitely knows everything about cults and shit and how they're different. He goes into Mormonism slightly, and he goes really deep into Jehovah's Witnesses. If you just follow him stuff on his Jehovah's Witness stuff, you can then follow him into the Mormon stuff way easier.
It's crazy. It's scary almost. I'm gonna say it's scary.
Mormons...
Driving past these kingdom halls, I look at them differently now. I'm like,
oh, most definitely.
God. Like, that's like a terrorist organization to a point. Like, that's kind of extreme to say that, but...
honestly, I think they are, because they hurt people more than they help, and they change how people are. That's the whole point of being a cult, is you change people.
You don't have to kill people to be a terrorist. You know, I think emotional damage is just as important to recognize as physical.
Our country doesn't really understand that, because our psychology in America is so underrated, and basically
the mental our society is very poor.
Extremely poor.
I mean, depression is rampant among our generation.
I'm pretty sure all of us here have probably been depressed at one point. I know I
Actually,
was.
That's
I've been good for about 2 months now. Ever since I started this job, it has helped me tremendously.
I've been good for about a year, but I've had my little bits in it and shit. But like for the most part throughout high school, I was pretty much completely depressed.
Yeah, well,
dude.
that goes back to what we talked about with education. It made us miserable and made me not want to be there. So,
Well, the education wasn't part of it. It was just kind of life in general. Life
my
has
thing,
stabled out more.
the people there and the pressure. If you don't do this, you're going to fail in life. Well, bitch, look where I am now. So, it's whatever.
Failing life.
I mean, legally they can't outright say that.
Phil, you're doing better than a lot of people.
It's just funny because I don't see that. I look at I'm on social media right now, looking at like Instagram and stuff, and I see all these people being happy and getting married and having kids, and I'm just sitting here like.
Well, that's the thing is like the people that you don't see aren't able to show their sadness and shit because they aren't capable of doing it. There are plenty of people out there, just in our country alone, that are not making enough money to pass. 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's depressing as fuck. The richest nation has 80% of its people unable to be in the economy more than just paying their bills and eating food.
I mean, I make $400 a week, which is a lot to some people and nothing to others.
You're making like $200 more a week than me.
Yeah, but I mean, I have much higher demands than you do. In all fairness, I got rent, car payment, insurance.
That's the thing
water,
is I'm saving all my money, which would then be turned into what would be a car payment and shit like that, and eventually would be rent and shit too, because I don't want to live here forever, but my job doesn't pay me enough to be able to fucking save up for to go fucking apartment shopping and shit.
Right.
Because if I only had my job by myself, I wouldn't be able to have a car. I'd have to walk or ride a bike. So I want to be able to get a car paid off first.
If we had a better transportation infrastructure, then you really wouldn't have to worry about that. Because you
that's actually not a problem in certain places of the country. It's just that West Virginia and the place where we lived in West Virginia, it's too rural, small. It's just like not enough people are there to support this type of system. We'd be like implement that type of system there, which is fucked up because then like people can't get
We have a very basic transportation system in West Virginia, and it stems around our big cities, which is Charleston, Wheeling, and Huntington. And
that's it.
Since Nitro and Cross Lanes are close, living in Cross Lanes wasn't that bad for me because I didn't have a car. I was making like $400 a month, and 150 of that was going to Zach's parents' rent. I was paying $300 rent for one room, sharing with 7 other people.
My God.
In a normal trailer. Not a double wide, a normal trailer. Me, Zach, and Braden, which is Zach's little brother, we stayed in the same room. And a lot of my money, like, went into that house to help us stay up because other shit always kept happening. Like, we I don't know why, but we kept getting fucked with when we lived there. So, like, shit just kept happening to us that we couldn't help. And suddenly, like, there were several times I paid the bill straight up because that was, like, about $150. And if I paid it on my card, we had to wait a week before we could even use it.
See, those are, like, the small, like, personal problems that happen on, like, a mass scale that just fuck with people and inhibit our economy and growth as a nation overall. And these can be solved by things that we've already discussed previously, like Starlink and stuff like that. Like
exactly.
Fast, affordable internet would be, you know,
getting behind on one bill in this state you're almost guaranteed to get behind on multiple after that. I know that for me and my brother rent this house. It's $550 a month for just the house. Then we have probably about $400. Maybe less sometimes, depends on how much the power company wants to charge us.
Yeah, the
Maybe
power
about
companies kind of they don't
$250.
really get an accurate reading. They just kind of make an average of where you live, and then take that. So if a lot of people where you're living at are using more power than you, then you're paying the same rates as the people that are using more power than you, and it's kind of fucked.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that between the water company and the power company monopolizing this area, they are allowed to have such high rate hikes almost monthly anymore.
Exactly. And while I was living with Zach, I was walking to work, so I was saving even on like public transportation because I could have taken the bus. It would have costed me an extra $3 a day to go at that time, but I walked. I saved myself probably if where I worked 5 days a week every week in sometimes three.
Boy, it'd be like 3 times 2 a day.
Yeah, so $30
three-
a week to ride the bus.
Yeah, $3 a week to ride the bus. So I would be paying $12 just in transportation if I wanted to use that transportation. Good thing it was close enough to where I could walk to it, but I used to run from Kroger's and Cross Lanes to Nitro Wendy's because I was working there before I moved, and I had to get transferred and I had to wait on that. And that's a long haul.
I'm pretty fortunate because all I do to make money around here is DoorDash, and I can make like $400 a week
Yeah.
pretty easily because people can tip and all that shit.
I did the DoorDash around here, and let me tell you, it's not anywhere near that. We made probably about $80 one night, but that was it. It dies quickly.
Well, it's because it's expensive to use DoorDash to some degree, and where Abe's living at, he's got a healthy economy there that's helped stimulating him being able to have that job. West Virginia doesn't have the infrastructure alone to support that type of job, much less the people to have the money to support it.
That's right. And
it's a real shame. It really is.
And the thing is that our state could definitely be good, but we only focused on coal for most of our state's life, and that's why we're dead now. Because coal is so easy to cheaply do that we don't have to pay people because we can have 5 people do an entire mountaintop removal. Why the fuck do you need other people if you can just pay those 5 and do it all?
Right. We waited way too long to make the transition into tourism and eco-friendly services. Our forest industry is huge, but nobody ever talks about it. Because it's always coal and tourism. And forestry is a very renewable resource. I don't care what anybody says. You know, they plant twice as many trees as they take up, and in 20, 50, or 20, 30 years, they're ready to go again. And it's not like the wood and paper supply or paper demand is that high that we're going to completely deforest our local forests in time to
obviously
make it. But I mean, especially with
everything we could also do is make forest reservations and shit, so we could have more tourism. If we opened up more places across West Virginia, because even though we are small, we are very hard to travel through because there's mountains, there's valleys and shit. It takes a while to get through West Virginia. So if we had national forests all over West Virginia, that would bring in so much revenue.
And small things too, like even the little things. Now, Pat, I know you're familiar with this, and Abe, you might be. The Winfield Locks and Dams.
Nice cat.
There used to be an observation place down there that you could go in. And supposedly around 9/11, it was closed due to, fears of the infrastructure being blown up. If they reopen that, hell yeah, I'd go. I'm always interested in that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, West Virginia on top of one of these like flat top mountain top removals, like if they went to the tallest one and flat topped that and put an observatory there, that'd be a perfect fucking place for science.
So cool. It serves 2 purposes. You get the resources out of the mountain, and you create a hot spot for tourism and stuff.
And it also could become a hot spot for science, and science always has money for it, even though, like, usually...
Absolutely.
usually gets cut or undermined through the military, because our military is where most of our science comes through now. I don't like that one bit, but that's why I fully support Space Forces, because it's probably the only way we're going to have any more space shit happening is because of the military.
It's the only reason I supported it is because, space is what got me into pretty much anything. Right now I have on my TV a live feed of the NASA, because I love that stuff. But
Hell yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it. I think it's I-77 heading up towards Clarksburg. There's an area up there that has a big old NASA facility where they do different research and stuff.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
It's very fascinating. This state has a whole lot of stuff that people don't know because everybody thinks meth heads, coal, and the New River Gorge. That's it.
If they even think West Virginia in the first place, because half the time they think Virginia.
Yeah. Well, how many times I've been in Pennsylvania and the guys are like, "Oh, I like Virginia Beach." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
I'm from.
That's
West
not
Virginia.
us, motherfucker. I hate it when people say that shit.
Oh God.
And if we did those national forests and had a science center in West Virginia, that would bring us some name branding for once in our lives. And West Virginia could be proud of itself for other than coal and unions. Which look
at Green Bank. Green Bank is awesome. The largest movable telescope in the world. And how much news do you see that get anymore?
None.
Because it all ties back into STEM.
Exactly.
So,
we don't have enough people in STEM because people who could go to college for STEM don't have the money to go to college.
And
it's just a fucking problem.
Because there's no money coming into the state to let those people go. It's all full circle. So somewhere we need to light the match and let the fire do its thing.
Yeah, I'm in full. I think the best thing, to be honest, that we could do is have a full general strike for the entire workers, not just as socialism, but because the workers are getting fucked, and if they stop, this country stops, and if this country stops, shit actually might change for once.
That's true. I mean,
I don't care who's in power. Economy is always a big thing when talking politics, and if you take away the economy from the politicians, they have to do something for you. And if you don't get everything, but you get, say, a new streamlined education, that right there could be enough to even further produce better political stances, because there will be more people that can actually do politics and want to learn politics and shit. Because I didn't know I could learn about fucking politics in fucking my senior year. I started learning the year after and shit. And I have learned so much in 2 years just off of YouTube. If I would have known, I could have learned more than just civics class of this is fucking legislation, this is the Senate, this is what voting is. Fuck off. Pay your taxes.
They didn't want to teach any of that shit. They didn't teach us shit like that in high school, dude. They didn't teach us how to do taxes.
The thing is, the government doesn't want to teach you that because the government doesn't want to give power to the people. If the people have power, the government doesn't, and that scares them.
Exactly.
So I'm in favor of overthrowing the government and starting over at this point.
I'm in full favor of, honestly, a non-violent or maybe even partial violent revolution. But that at the point that we're in, the far right has too much power right now for that to happen. That's why I don't want it to happen, because it would end in...
Even that, it's not even that. Both sides have got too much power, and they're pulling on the thin rope. The rope of each side being pulled is too thin for anything to happen. We need to cut the damn rope and start over. Let both sides that are so hard at fighting each other fall into their damn holes, and we, the people, will stand up for ourselves and start this shit over right.
That's why a general strike would be the best way to do that.
My opinion is this. A country of 330 million people probably should go through some periods of national referendum on the status quo. because it's too big for just a couple people.
For two parties to run everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I as much as I think the greatest unity thing we could do is to abolish the two parties and just make it one party. Make it the American Party. Which sounds kind of generic, but it would get shit done.
It wouldn't really do much, though, because other parties would have to form, because if everyone's under one party, that seems kind of forced, and it would usually become forced and authoritarian. It would, if we did something more like the UK, where they have to have joint governments, where it's like, okay, here's your Democrats. This is, for example, the Democrats get 30%, the Greens get another 30%, the Republicans get 30%, and then the Libertarians get 10%, and then the rest is just the rest didn't vote. Okay, and then the Democrat Party with 31% and the Green Party with 29%. I'm going to change a little bit. They would then make a coalition government because they are the majority, even though they aren't the same party, and they would have a joint force going into the White House and the Senate and shit.
That's like kind of like the Israeli government is set up. It's actually like more than like 10 major political parties, and they actually come at like points of stagnation when they all can't agree with each other. Well, yeah, they eventually have to get anything done. But it's kind of like the same sort of concept.
Well, here when two parties can't agree on something, it just gets thrown out and forgotten.
Or it gets used as political gain, like infrastructure. Infrastructure has been talked about in this country since before I was fucking born. Yet nothing has happened to it.
Right. It goes to a stalemate because nobody ever wants to put forth the effort to fight the match.
Anything.
Well, you also have to look at it from, I mean, like that. So maybe it's good that it wasn't acted upon before we were born, because a lot has changed since we were born.
Absolutely.
Even if it did happen before then, it's not something that we only do once. We would have to constantly make upgrades and make upgrades and make upgrades, and there's always going to be a job for someone to make those upgrades, but they don't want to do that.
It's inevitable. Evolution is inevitable.
And everything evolves.
I mean, we should have infrastructure for, like, how, what is it? The Tesla, I don't know if it's technically Tesla.
It's actually Virgin Technology.
Virgin Galactic Mobile.
Yes, that's the name. I could not remember.
Virgin Galactic Mobile is coming into West Virginia to build, like, the Hyperloop. Yeah. That sort of shit needs to be built in the United States. We need to have, like, Autobahn type highways for cars. We need to have bullet train systems that go from city to city, region to region, that are cheap and affordable for the average person to use. You should be able to go to New York.
Let me tell you, all in favor of sacrificing the air travel in favor of train travel.
Oh, I'm down for that.
Train travel would provide, it may not be as fast until we get it right, but, you can build. It's just like the highway system. When Route 66 was implemented, look at all the little towns that sprung up along that route. It's the same with...
an even better way to say it. When railroads first became a thing and highways weren't invented yet, all the cities that came up with the railroads can now come up with the speed bullet trains and shit.
It's an evolution. It all evolves down the line.
We would still need planes and international travel, and that's what planes would be mostly used for. They wouldn't be used for commercial travel in the United States more than fucking trains, because trains could get us there cheaper, more efficiently, and more people at a time.
Trains would kick the shit out of airplanes in terms of market value.
It would make it more affordable, number one, and number two, it would open up travel to more people. I would travel way more often. Hell, I'd probably be traveling every weekend if trains were running to all sorts of destinations. Imagine the depot we could have here.
You could take a weekend and go to a place like New York or LA or any like major city for like $20 off a train ticket instead of paying like hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a plane ticket. And you could go spend money there. It's going to create more economic stimulus in the whole country if we create these like sorts of like fast means of transportation like bullet trains. Like if you can go to any of these major cities and major economic centers for cheap and spend money, that's like good for like the economy as a whole.
Exactly.
For sure.
Like you know, what we need right now is we need a president like Kennedy. Kennedy said that he was going to put a man on the moon. Well, he didn't get to live to see it, but we need a president that's going to say, you know, going to do.
I would
such
say an even better president to go by is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was a great president. He brought us out of our first major depression, and he was president for 12 years. The reason term limits came in is because he kept winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But that was also due to the fact that I think everyone was kind of like, we should keep electing a president during a world war because, like, people were like,
right.
Well, he died in 44, and Truman took over, and they implemented, I think, term limits before he was done, like, serving his. So if he would have kept on with the policies of FDR and shit and kept his thing going, he could have kept going for ages.
That's true. But I also think Truman only served one term, right?
I think so. I don't know. I don't think he wanted to be president because he was the vice president. But like, if FDR didn't die, he probably could have been a president until the 60s, maybe even, if he was able to live long enough. But he was very sick and shit. So
no, apparently Harry S. Truman was president from 40. Right? It's hard to tell off of this thing.
You cut out he went from 45 to 53, so he did fully serve 2 terms.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then after that, it was Eisenhower.
Yep.
Eisenhower was the general in charge of the Normandy invasion.
One of the generals.
Cool.
It was like a coalition between France, Polish, UK, and America at that point. Which is probably why he got the presidencies, because he's like, I helped win World War II, so... And
he was like, I fucking got us there, everyone. Vote for me because I fucking won this war.
I killed Nazis, vote for me.
God, what a fucking terrible battle that was, honestly.
It was really fucked.
That's one of the major battles that...
turned the tide. It was the first battle that turned the tide.
One of the major turning points were right there.
That and the invasion of Sicily.
We won that battle. We won that day because Hitler woke up late and he was in charge of deploying the Panzer divisions in France. He was the sole person in charge, so the whole entire German military was on hold until Hitler woke up that day.
Well, also, we also tricked the fuck out of them. We broke their ankles on that shit. We were like, oh, we're gonna come over here at the closest point. Then we came over in Normandy, and Rommel was like, the fuck?
I just want to make a quick point. That's how long we went from talking about religion to Hitler.
We put up. What's the difference between
you're
getting a bunch of people brainwashed to believe some fascist side? Oh, am I lagging? I hate this. Fuck.
I honestly don't know why you're lagging. It's on your end because it's not really affecting us any. You're still lagging. This is really bad right now.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, you're finally back.
A little bit better. Yep.
Okay, I was saying, like, what's the difference between, like...
That one, now he's gone.
Are
you trying to say, like, what's the difference between, like...
Fuck!
What, are you trying to say, like, what's the difference between, like, Nazism and other, like, cults and politics and stuff? Is that what you're trying to get at? Okay.
Yeah, like, what's...
The difference between nationalism and fascism is nationalism is nationalism, so it's ultra patriotic, but fascism is that times 10 and an ethno-state involved. That's fascism. And an ethno-state is where it's like if Pakistan wanted to get rid of all the Indians in their country and they fucking slaughtered them. That's an ethno-state.
Kind of like what China's doing right now with Muslims.
Yeah, the Uyghur Muslims up in
Jesus.
the northwest part of... They're literally, like, putting them through concentration camps to get them to reform to, like, Xi Jinping is God, and if they don't, they fucking just... They kill them, like, right then and there.
Yeah, and did you all see that clip of the Chinese ambassador to Australia? He was given, like, a clip of the video evidence of these Muslims in China being detained. Their heads shaven, they're wearing black clothes in chains, being boarded onto cattle carts. And he's shown this video on this Australian TV news network or whatever. He's like, this is not evidence, you know. You have no idea this is from China. Whatever. It was confirmed by, like, multiple national intelligence agencies of, like, multiple NATO countries that,
That's
like,
happening.
this is real footage in China.
Well, if he's an ambassador, he's going to downplay and call bullshit on anything that looks bad against the Communist Party.
Which is kind of his job, but, you know, it's a horrible thing to do.
Hey, at least he's doing his job, you know.
Yeah, it's that or get shot.
least that's
So
happening.
I'd be doing my job too. I don't want to die just because I didn't do my job.
But, you know, it's which was, you know, I don't want to defend them, but that's what a lot of Nazis did too, so.
Well, yeah, that's why I don't like what Xi Jinping or Mao or any of them did, because they were authoritarian left, but they weren't left. They were just fascists under a different name, basically. That's also what Russia was. They were fascist under a different name in slightly different things, but basically the same thing.
Left and right really only apply to this country. If you think about it, it really can only apply to this country because we are so mixed and diverse.
Well, it applies to any country that has a democracy, because the UK is going through a huge, like, conservative move right now with Boris Johnson and shit. I think he's like one of the first, like,
The British.
like, he's like the first British
Alright,
Republican.
I'll try.
To be,
What's your username? Send it to me.
He's like the first British Republican to be
Sorry.
put in like a really long time, especially with a majority vote, and that's because of Brexit and shit. And honestly, Brexit was a terrible thing for them to do, but they did it anyways.
Now, I'm not too educated on Brexit, but
And either.
From all the research I did on it, it had way more cons than it did pros.
this is like a Trump supporter. From what I read about it, I heard it had more pros than cons because the United Kingdom was getting out of, like, shitty trade agreements with the EU that
Well, that's the thing.
were
Is
apparently
those
like
trade
holding them
agreements
back
might
or
not have
whatever.
been like that great, but they were more negotiable in the EU than out of the EU. Plus, even if they were like bad, they were just going to be worse outside of it. Plus, they can get the same type of contracts with other people within the EU, so it's just kind of a mutual system of, like, the contracts aren't as good as they could be, but it's better than what you're going to get if you're not a part of us.
Hey, Patrick, quick thing. How do I add somebody to the chat? I have somebody.
Are you on your laptop or what?
Yeah,
Do you see
I'm
where
on my
it's
laptop.
like a person with a plus at the top right?
Yeah.
Click that,
Okay.
and then you should be able to go through your contacts and add someone.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this to go on for 2.5 hours, but it's going on for 2.5 hours.
I'm
This will
enjoying
be-
everything. We can't
This
stay
will be
on-
uploaded to YouTube, right?
Yeah. This one gets to stay, not all the other ones that were tests and shit.
Hell yeah.
We can definitely do this again. So,
If we do this again, we need to focus on one topic per setting.
yeah, make it to where it's like an hour long instead of 3. Like, this is a good starter to, like, put all our views and, like, all our thought processes out there for the people and shit. And then, like, we can then go on specific subjects and shit and build an audience that way.
That gonna mean like the most.
I think my friend joined.
Yeah, he
It's
did.
Andy Garcia.
Hello,
Is
Andy.
he?
Is that his actual name? What is he? What do you want to be
It's
called?
Andy
Bro?
Garcia. It's Andy.
What's up, Andy?
Yo, what's up, Andy?
Man, I
What's
thought I had a beard.
good?
God, I'm the only one here that can't grow facial hair.
So, what did you want to talk about, Andy?
Me?
Yeah, since you wanted to join into this, what do you want to talk about? Because you got to be relevant to the conversation.
What's the conversation?
We were talking.
Pretty much anything at this point.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about that was brought up earlier in this?
I have no idea what you guys were talking about.
No.
Dude, we talked about UBI. We talked about fucking gun control. We talked about healthcare.
I'm with all that.
About all sorts of stuff.
Education,
Education.
Constipation, irritation. Wait, what?
UBI. Who knows when that next stimulus check is coming?
Based on what Trump said, after he gets reelected. But he's went back to the negotiation table several times, so I don't know. We might be getting it, we might not.
He's so bipolar when it comes to stuff.
Well, it's because if he can't push it in his favor, he's not going to push it at all, so.
Nope.
I'm not gonna lie. I fucking love Trump, but I hate his guts sometimes.
I
He's
hate
a
Trump because he's a horrible
Fucking
president.
idiot sometimes.
Well, here's a topic. Why do you like Trump?
Why do I like Trump?
Well, I was talking to Abe mostly, but you can talk too.
No. Let's let Andy talk. Let's let Andy talk now. He's new. Let's let him go. Let's let him fucking spill the beans on what he thinks.
Spill the beans.
I like Trump because he doesn't give a fuck.
He does, though. He's a little bitch when anything doesn't go his way.
Well, yeah, that's rich baby boy syndrome. But, you know, in terms of saying what's on his mind, he doesn't really care.
Well,
And I appreciate that.
most people could do that, but sometimes that's not always what you need to do.
And follow on his promises.
He
That's
followed
big.
in on, like, none of his promises.
None of his promises?
Where's that wall?
There's entire miles of it being built right now, constantly.
Barely.
And honestly, it's not even
It's
about
also-
the walls. It's about putting jobs in Americans' pockets.
He's sent more jobs overseas than Obama did.
Not really true.
That is true. He sent
I don't know about
92,000 in
that.
his first year than Obama did in his last.
And how many has he brought back?
I don't know, but he's sent more jobs off than he's brought back. So his overall
Let's see some numbers.
Obama-
Numbers.
If I remember correctly, Obama exported around like 88,000 or some bullshit, and then Trump on his first year exported 92,000 jobs. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember though. This was a few years ago.
Well, he's been trying to bring the troops home, securing peace in the Middle East.
He has done none of that whatsoever, and if you think that,
He's
you're very
trying.
ignorant. He's trying. If he really tried, he could have already brought us out. But he's too worried about keeping the oil in our pockets and stealing it from the people that live there to actually do what he says.
Is that really what's happening?
Yes.
Can you substantially explain it?
Why do we have bases surrounding oil platforms instead of cities?
Well, okay, so what's the problem with that?
Yeah, what's the problem?
It's not our resources. We're stealing it from them. We're not keeping it secure for them. There's a difference.
Wasn't the Taliban government complicit in international terrorism?
That's Afghanistan. We're in Iraq, Syria,
Isn't
Lebanon.
Afghanistan? Isn't like all the tribes that control Afghanistan
Feeling
complicit in international terrorism?
No, there's actually a state government that owns most of the territory, I'm pretty sure, right now.
Isn't the state government bribed and ran by jihadist radical Islamic terrorists?
Okay, so we don't need to be there. We've done our job of killing Osama and killing terrorism. The Taliban are basically non-existent, except in, like, a few mountains.
if you hear from certain military leaders and people who've actually been over there, they say that it would be a humanitarian crisis if the U.S. pulled out suddenly.
Then why don't we get the UN to move in there with peacekeeping troopers instead of having our own soldiers there?
Because peacekeeping troopers aren't as good as U.S. fucking Marines,
They are
Army
fucking
Rangers,
trained by
Green
American-
Berets, Navy SEALs, SAS.
SAS
I don't
is
think-
UK, dumbass. They're not a part of America.
I
don't
don't trust people that aren't part of America.
Any of
Okay?
us have any right to speak on the military unless we were directly involved.
That's very ignorant
That's
thing to say,
true.
because you can do as much research in just the military and know exactly what's going on, and you could be
But
very.
how is withheld from us? We
Uh,
don't even know what's happening here at
a lot,
home.
because you guys
Hell,
don't know
going
we
on
shouldn't be
here
there
if you
for
want.
anymore. We keep moving the goalpost of the war in Afghanistan to the point that there is no goalpost. We're just there now. At first it was to destroy the Taliban. Okay, we did that mostly. And we need to kill Osama. Okay, he's dead. Why are we there? Why are we there?
And Trump has said all those things you have just said and is attempting to pull us out as we speak.
Except he hasn't done shit to do that.
Because he can't just do what he wants at the snap of a finger. There's power
He's
checks
the
and everything.
commander-in-chief. He can control the military directly if he wants to. He could pull them out right fucking now, and they could be all home before Christmas. Right fucking now. Yes, he fucking can. Yes, he can. He's the commander-in-chief. He has that fucking power.
We
He can
can't.
do that right fucking now.
Well,
If he
there's too
wanted
much
to,
money
he could
involved
tell
in that.
he could
Have to
tell
decide.
the fucking
Billy-
top general to pull them out right now, and they could be gone from Afghanistan before Christmas. Guaranteed. He has.
I
that
think that's
power.
what he's doing. Isn't that what he's doing? He wants to pull all troops out before Christmas time, right?
And he keeps saying that, but he keeps running into red tape by the military-industrial complex, which definitely
The
exists.
military-industrial complex is paying his ass. That's why they're still over there. The red tape is only there because they're paying him.
I believe that, but you can't substantiate that claim. So I mean,
I
it doesn't
can
really matter.
substantiate that claim because I can
You
look at
show
his
me-
backers. I
You
can
can show me a
find his
check. Military-industrial compass going.
I can't show you a fucking actual check, but I can show you the people that have been paying him. Okay, so that's
There's a paper trail to that.
it's probably hidden, but I can guarantee you they can
I'm
find
just saying,
it.
if that paper trail existed, the left would be on that shit like no other.
The left are being paid by it too. That's why they still continue the wars as well.
Shit, you might be right about that, but you know what? That's
I hate,
all.
I hate
Once you start,
Democrats and Republicans. Okay, just to let you know that.
here's my problem with your arguments. Right? Is once you go talking like that, it becomes conspiratorial.
It's not conspiratorial when it's.
I know it's highly believable. Maybe there is a paper trail somewhere that exists, but unless you could substantiate that with actual facts and articles.
The reason Hillary Clinton wanted to put a no-fly zone over Syria was because she's being paid by one of the top Air Force manufacturers in America.
Again, I believe you. All right, but you can't stand that claim. Like, there's no way Hillary Clinton that they would just she would just be like, yeah, pay me for this and I'll do that, and
It's not as simple as that. They come to her and say that, and she's like, how much money? And then she goes, oh, that much? Okay, I'll do it. She doesn't make the claims, they do, and then she moves forward on them. It's not a conspiracy.
I have a highly, 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 highly articulated rebuttal to all that Hillary Clinton talk.
So help me if you
The
say that.
American people in November of 2016 chose their champion. And that's all I have to say.
they chose Hillary actually.
They chose Hillary by the popular vote, but by the grace of the Electoral College, we won that day.
This is why I don't like the Electoral College, because every Republican has won without the popular vote, except maybe a couple times with Reagan.
Yeah, because they're fucking smart. They're not
because
dumb.
they cheat.
No, it's because of the cities.
It's because they cheat through gerrymandering.
It's really
No,
hard.
Hey, okay. Andy, tell us about the massive amount of dumbassery in Queens itself. Everywhere. Every fucking where. Tell us about it.
Everywhere I turn, I can't have a political conversation without being called a Trumper or some kind of white savior of some sort. All right.
I won't call you that because I don't know if that's what you actually truly believe.
America, they're against guns, they're against freedom, and they want to vote retards like Biden. That's what's going on over here,
Why?
right?
How are they against guns?
They are. They
They're
are.
for gun regulation. They're not for no guns. Period.
No, they don't like
Therefore-
guns.
You've been lied to if you believe that, because that's not.
I
true
live
in the least.
here. How you gonna tell me?
Because you're a fucking retard. That's how I'm gonna tell you.
You're gonna tell me that I live here? You know why we don't? You know why people don't care about guns?
Right.
Because you can call the police and they'll be here in 5 minutes.
Okay, and it
Safety
doesn't
is
mean that they don't
concern.
want guns.
They
There are just
don't.
as many Democrats that love guns as there are white people.
Not in the cities.
This is insane.
Gonna fucking ban guns, and I don't like it.
Who said they wanted to ban guns besides Beto O'Rourke, the retard from Texas?
I
We're gonna
think
take your
ban guns.
AR-15s. We're gonna take your
Senator Dianne Fine.
Okay, that's
We're
two
gonna take
people
your
out of the entire Democrat party.
Hell, take your 15s.
That's
AOC.
two. AOC doesn't want to take your guns. She wants regulations, not take them away.
That's what they want.
Now,
There's a difference
Oh,
between regulation
you sound
and
like a
completely taking them.
Bootlicker. All right,
Oh, I'm
regulation.
the bootlicker. You're the one who supports the guy that wants to send in federal troops on innocent civilians.
Did I say that?
If you support Trump, then yes, that's exactly what you're saying.
you can support somebody, not support everything they support. So
I'm not a bootlicker because I honestly really don't like the cops because their job has been made to where they do more than they're supposed to do as cops, and we need a new force. That could be under the cops, like the DA, where they do specifically drugs or shit like that. But like,
Many gun regulations have opened the door to gun restrictions.
that's the same shit. It's literally the same thing. And
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be.
okay, and your
That's
gun,
not an
you
okay
having
and argument. That's not an okay and argument. That's not okay and like you
okay,
can't say
and
that.
is the argument because you still have guns. Where in any of that is there you cannot have a fucking gun other than you are a felon or you have a mental history of not being able to be safe with guns? Where is it in that?
State where you live in, because for me it'd be fucking damn near impossible.
I doubt that.
No, it is.
It might take a while, but it's not damn near impossible.
It's damn near impossible unless you have a
Do
couple.
you have a felon gun? Or...
No, it's just damn near impossible. Look up the laws on how to get any kind of gun in New York City.
It's still you're still capable of getting it, so I don't see how that's taking away your gun.
But here's the thing: they can't get like a fucking Bushmaster AR-15 with like a 60-round drum mag and a fucking ACOG Trigicon sight with like fucking like a flash hider or a suppressor. Like they
You
can't
don't
get
need
that
all
shit.
You have a gun still at that point. You don't need that.
Why don't they need that
Oh, man.
though?
Shit, I'm done.
I'm not saying you can't have it. I would like you to be able to have that, but that's not needed. If you want a gun to shoot, you just need the
Why
gun.
isn't What if a mob is at the front of your house because they're Black Lives Matter and they don't like what you believe in and there's 200 of them out there and I need 5 60-round mags to shoot them all down? What if that happens?
Because they're not going to do that, one.
you don't know that.
I do know that, though. 99.9% of Black Lives Matter movement protests are completely peaceful. It's under a microscope, all the fucking riots and shit. Don't even bullshit me on that. I know this shit for a fact, okay?
The protests are completely peaceful? Is that what you just said?
99.9% of them, okay? You're getting the microscopic 0.01% of the shit that isn't.
If I only killed 0.1% of the people I met, I'd still be a fucking murderer, okay?
Just like Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh man, you're full of it, aren't you?
He's a fucking terrorist, okay? He went
He's
and
a
killed
good guy.
people at 17 with an illegal firearm. He's a
Oh
terrorist,
my.
and he should be prosecuted as one.
Hold on.
You gotta get into him with Kyle Rittenhouse.
I'm not gonna get Kyle Rittenhouse.
I don't
You know
have
what?
a gun. I don't have a gun yet because I don't have the money to have one yet, but I do want one, so I will have one eventually.
come and take them.
They don't want to take them, though. If they're going to do anything where they take your guns, it's going to be an optional buyback. That's the most they will do.
That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life.
Jake is asleep on the couch. Keep it down.
It's still true, though. That's the
Go back to
closest
Kyle
thing.
Rittenhouse. Let's go back to Kyle.
Okay, let's go back to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Let's,
What does
regardless,
killing
listen.
innocent people?
Listen.
Where in that
Listen.
is that legal?
regardless of the circumstances of how he got there and what he used, in those moments that those men died,
That
was it
not
self?
No, it was not. You cannot.
It was
prove
not
that.
self.
You
All right, then I
cannot
don't
prove
want to continue that argument. Then we're just gonna have to agree to disagree
Okay.
on that. If you
We do not have enough evidence to prove that it was self-defense. I'm going to admit that. I don't know if it was or not. Even if it was, though, he had an illegal firearm. Therefore, he should not have been there in the first place.
regardless of that, should he be charged with having a firearm?
Yes, he should be charged with murder because he
Yeah,
used a weapon.
that's a different argument, though. That's a different argument, though. The argument is in that moment that those men died, was it self-defense
I
or
don't
was
know.
it
We
murder?
don't have enough evidence for that. I
think the
believe that it's
video-
not.
I think the video and the witness accounts are enough evidence to say that kid defended himself.
From what I believe from the video, he shot someone first and then went to run away, and then he got hurt. That's
not what happened at all.
That is what happened. That is.
You need to watch that video again, bud.
I have watched the video, and that's what happened. He killed
to
someone,
watch-
and then they tried to take his gun away because he was hurting people, and then he kept shooting at people.
Wow, that is quite the belief. There's like interviews with the reporters who were on the ground, right? Who saw what happened from beginning to end, right?
Yeah.
And can
And
100%.
And a lot of people said he killed someone, and then they tried to stop him from killing anyone else.
That's the narrative that you keep sucking up. That's what I don't know
I-
where you're getting. But the
I
people
get
who
it
were there
from
who actually
everywhere.
produce witness accounts and actually have words on paper of what happened will tell you that Kyle Rittenhouse did not instigate that fight.
I believe full-heartedly he did. We do not have enough evidence to
Alright.
prove that because we have
Well-
a shitty video to try and base all this
So,
off of.
so if we don't have enough evidence, how can you claim his intent?
I don't claim his intent. I say
I
this
would
is
have
what I
come in
think.
favor of Kyle Rittenhouse. Here's how I come in favor of him. You don't know if someone is old enough to carry a gun if you see them in public carrying a gun.
He went up to
So
cops
if
and
you
shit
try
with
to
an open
if you try
firearm.
to intimidate what?
He went up. He was walking with the cops at one point with an open firearm. None
Oh.
of them asked him how old he was and if he had that legally.
Because how many? Listen. Let me. Because you know what? You're saying 99.9% of these riots are peaceful, right?
They are.
Well, in the last 150 days of rioting, over 50 people have died. So
Okay, how many
considering
people were
that,
killed by cops? How many people were killed by cops?
it doesn't matter. Considering
It does
that,
matter,
right?
seeing as
No,
those protests are to
doesn't matter.
make
Stop
police
different
brutality
people.
stop. 50
Let's down-
people compared to the hundreds
bringing
of
up
thousands
arguments
dead.
for different-
It's,
doesn't make sense.
it does make sense because the
No.
people dead from
You're
police
gonna-
brutality were caused by those riots.
Keep it down.
And those
That's
riots, yeah, that's
Oh.
exactly what happened.
That is
Those
not what
people
happened.
dying
Where do you get
caused the
news?
riots.
Where are you getting your news?
From fucking anywhere that I can get it from. I get it from right, from left, everywhere.
I'm kicking your ass.
I don't
think
like
so,
CNN.
man. Because honestly, like you need to like really look up the
Police
reports
brutality
of
has been a thing in this country since
brutality.
the 50s.
What about the murders that happened?
Okay, so I will say that on Twitter a number of I guess like months ago or maybe weeks ago, I'm not sure at this point, I posted probably like 3 or 4 or 5 articles of instances where like they're not protesters. Protesting is peaceful. Rioting is not peaceful. It was rioters that killed 20 plus people during the George Floyd protests. Never mind the I'm sorry, but I forgot the
that's so
guy
many.
who got shot in the back like 7 times. I
Blake.
forgot Jacob Blake. This was the George Floyd protest. 20 people, innocent civilians, died in the George Floyd protests. There was 2 kids or 2 people that were burned down in a business that was lit on
People have
fire.
died in
Look,
riots, right?
here,
So if
before-
you're in a town in the middle of those riots and you don't have a gun, like your life is seriously at danger. Like that's just a fact. If you're in the middle of a Black Lives Matter riot, many people have died in this, and it is very public. So you can't blame somebody for having a gun in the middle of a fucking riot. Like how many people need to die before you feel the need to protect yourself?
Seeing as no one died before that until he opened
No one
fire.
died before Kyle Rittenhouse in a riot.
In the riot that Kyle Rittenhouse was in, no one died
It was
before
the
that.
first day. It was the first day, and shit was
So,
going
if
on.
no one is dead, there's nothing to shoot
Okay,
at.
but around the country, how many people died before that for him to feel like he needed to
Yeah,
do
I
that?
feel like people were scared on a national
Okay,
scale.
if we take that into case, all these riots are because of the police brutality. killing more black people than they are white people. What about all the fucking black people that are dead? Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of them, even thousands, are dead because of just police doing their job, even though it's not their job to just kill innocent people. They're not.
I really don't like arguing with people who bring up their arguments.
That's not a different argument. Black Lives Matter. No, it is part of the same argument because Black Lives Matter is.
Phil has the floor. I think Phil should speak on this.
Phil, who's Phil?
Phil is.
Yeah. So Phil, how do you feel about this shit?
God, I don't even know what to feel. Like, I mean, yeah, everybody focuses on the police brutality. That's a 1 in a million case. What about all the black people killing black people?
Well, a lot of that is because of the poverty in all the black places.
Do those black lives not matter?
They do matter, and they want to stop that. Black Lives Matter wants to stop
that.
They don't. Have you been on their website? Have you been on their website? Have you fucking talked to any of them? I doubt it.
Yeah, I grew up with a whole bunch of them. They don't want to stop that shit. They want to get deeper and deeper into gun violence.
They're not real Black Lives Matter people.
That's one.
Why do they spread racism in their communities? Why are they racist to each other if they want to make it peaceful? Why are they racist?
My best his own people niggers all the time. I swear to God.
Okay, they're black people on black people. They can call each other racial slurs. It doesn't mean they should, but they can. That
does not encourage a positive society.
I'm not saying it does. But they do not want black on black crime. They don't want black crime, period. They don't want white crime, period. They don't want anyone dying. There are fucking shitheads that do stupid shit that cause these riots, but they don't want people to die and shit. And the fucking
I would agree with you. Most Americans want a peaceful life. Yeah, I can agree 100% with that statement.
If they can't treat each other peacefully, then it completely discredits their entire movement.
Well, you can't determine who is and who is at that specific time because a lot of these riots were started by instigators that were not of Black Lives Matter, and it's been proven. There are a lot of agent provocateurs who went and caused riots, and then Black Lives Matter got blamed for it.
A lot of it was government
bullshit. Problem. Nobody's denouncing those riots.
Just like a lot of people actually are, and it's mostly the right and a lot of the left are too, because the Democrats don't like. Yes, they are. They are denouncing them at this point because Black Lives Matter isn't a political movement.
At this point,
after 150 days of chaos, now, are you crazy?
Well, it's the next civil rights movement. It's the same thing that happened with Martin Luther King Jr. and I can't remember who the violent protester guy was that was from the South. I can't remember his name. But,
Malcolm X?
Yeah, Malcolm X. He was very much in favor of riots, and this is what Martin Luther King Jr. had to say. Riots are the words of those that cannot be heard. Or I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it says.
That's the stupidest. Let's
honestly, I'm with Andy on this one. I think people that riot deserve to be fucking shot by fucking paintball guns, tear gas, and fucking pepper sprayed to all get out because there is no reason for lawlessness.
There is no reason for lawlessness if the law is against you in every way, shape, and form.
Well, then
I don't think the law is against them in any way, shape, or form.
That's why you vote. That's
Voting
what America's
doesn't change much. That's why they have to have these protests.
It does.
Have police reform.
What about marijuana laws? Prime example of Americans at work.
50 years,
prime example of Americans at work. How many states now? 30.
Okay, and we shouldn't have had the drug war in the fucking first place, but it happened anyways.
Reverse arguments to argue my points. Like I'm like you got to stay on point here, dude.
I am on point. I'm still talking about drugs. I don't see how that's off the point.
I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about voting, and I'm talking about
drugs is still talking about the drugs and voting.
You're talking about violence being in the streets, and that's how things get changed. That's not how things
change through that.
By voting, a prime example being marijuana.
Hardly does shit in this country because it's a fucking
marijuana. How many states are recreational and medical right now? Because of
how many should already be fully medical and recreational, but it got changed because people voted in.
So this is a problem that I have with the left is that, like you're saying, Patrick, they'll say on one hand that voting doesn't matter, but then on another hand, they're like, this is the most important election of a lifetime.
Voting matters in certain
you have to do it now.
In other instances, it doesn't. Because a lot of the stuff that you vote for when you vote blue does not mean it changes what you want to change. A lot of what Democrats want is what Republicans want, except slightly different. The difference between Republican and Democrat is very little on a full political spectrum.
besides late-term abortion, stringent gun laws, higher taxation, stuff like that.
Slightly
That's
higher
like deal
taxation.
breakers.
That it's barely noticeable if you have a huge perspective on political theory and political ideology. It's barely nothing. In this country,
Maybe
it is
with
because
taxation, but with
the Overton window in this country is this, and after
How much
Bernie Sanders, it was this. The Overton window is this fucking big though, and we're fucking focusing on this. That's why our country is fucked. Our Overton window is tiny as shit, and nothing happens in this because it's basically the same shit spelled differently.
agreed. But
I'm not gonna argue with that.
like I said before, with the bump stocks and the the pistol brace SBR shit.
Oh, dude, they're taking out pistol braces. You seen that?
I own an SPR.
You're cutting out again, Abe.
Outlawed by the ATF, it's been considered an SBR, and that's what we were talking about. Like, these things, they isolate voter blocks to a high degree. Even things like abortion can even block out things like Republican voter blocks of women that actually agree with abortion that are Republican, because they're more fiscally conservative than they are,
Well,
fiscally
that
liberal.
a lot has to do with no one knows politics other than a small fringe of people. So only the small fringe of people are actually saying anything, while the majority are stuck in the sheep's hen nest right here, while the rest of us are out here.
Majority just want to work and then go home and take care of their kids, and they don't give a shit about it.
I understand that. Everyone wants to be able to live their life and live it, but if we know politics, then you could live your life better.
So
Politics is stupid, but a necessity to life. Because we live in a democracy, and how our democracy works, voting is what changes things. But we vote for basically the same people over and over again. It does matter, and it doesn't matter. It depends on what specific thing you're talking about. Because a lot of things don't change through voting. A lot of things stay the same.
depends on how loud the people speaking. Right? People wanted weed, and they fucking got it, and it took a long time, right?
Well,
but voting worked.
It's because they gave it to the people for once instead of just letting the representatives do everything.
Okay,
If more things were given to the people to vote on instead of just letting the representatives do things,
It was a long course of representatives being elected over years and years and years and trying to fight that.
And
fight.
like 3 of them eventually in the last few years were like, okay, let's legalize marijuana.
Yeah. That's the precedent.
Even though marijuana has been wanted to be legalized for way longer.
That's something that corporate interests impede upon.
Exactly.
If it was like a referendum up to the people in state elections, like we mentioned earlier,
that's when voting would count more. Right now, voting only counts for what policies are on the table, not for what policies you want to be on the table.
Yep.
That's why
pharmaceutical companies do not want marijuana legalization, but if it was up to the people, they would do it.
Neither do the tobacco companies. They don't either because they'll lose a ton of business.
And the alcohol companies too. There's actually a lot of alcohol companies that support big pharma, because they're in league with each other. It's fucked up to the highest degree, for sure. But as I say that, I'm gonna drink a strawberryta. So hell yeah.
That's what the girls drink.
I don't like alcohol.
I don't care. I just turned 21 and I'm having fun, so I don't give a fuck. I got a strawberryta and a limerita. I already drank the limerita. It was pretty fucking good. And then to go with that, I had a fucking a very cheap Budweiser fucking can that was $1.20 from Sheetz.
They should have paid you that much to take it.
Well,
I know, dude. If you go into the beer Sheetz, or the Sheetz beer cave, it's like.
It's shit.
It's shitty, shitty bullshit.
It's getting late. It's really late. It's been 3 hours of a stream. Is there anything, just last thing you guys want to say, if you have any, if you want to shill, if you have anything you want to shill, like a channel or anything, if you have that, go ahead and do that. Abraham, you look really eager. You can go ahead and do that. If you can stop lagging.
This experience. I think we should do it again. Next time, we should focus on maybe a maximum of maybe 2
topic.
or 3 subjects.
I'm,
And
we
we should have timed blocks, like maybe half an
should-
hour per subject.
Yes, and we should dissect them, analyze them,
And we should
everything to the
definitely-
fullest extent.
We should definitely plan ahead. That way we can each gather our own facts and opinions and
How's it taste?
sort of write it out.
Tastes good.
I wouldn't know. I don't have my own firearm yet.
I don't have mine with me. I'm in the kitchen eating corn dogs.
Hell yeah.
Phil doesn't want to eat his gun anyways, because if he started to actually eat it, he'd have to finish it.
Oh,
I would.
no.
I'd finish every inch of that short barrel.
But Abe, do you have
Hold your-
do you want to shill your like Twitter or anything like?
Yes. Okay. So everyone, follow my Twitter. It is at Abraham Doodle, ABRAHAMDOODLE. I have 992 followers. I am an upcoming Twitter god. I hope you follow me because I tweet a lot of good shit. Okay.
Okay.
And add me on Xbox Live. My name is I Emperor L. I space Emperor L. And follow me on Instagram, the Abe Tate.
The Abe
T-
what?
E-A-A-T.
I will put all these in the description, by the way, because Abe is
Yep,
very,
bro.
very laggy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Left. Fuck. What was that movie? With the guy who did the mass shootings. Fuck.
I don't-
Rampage.
Dude, you look just
Rampage. It was Rampage.
like him.
Who, me?
Oh,
I don't watch many movies, so I honestly don't know.
Doesn't he look just like him?
No!
Ah, look at him.
No!
Does he have long hair?
Yeah, Pat, you got the
Nah,
one.
Nah, he
Holy
killed
fuck,
it.
Patrick.
Nah,
Dude,
it's
we
over.
all got long hair now. Look at this shit.
It's over now. It's over.
Oh, you want to talk about that? Hold on a sec.
Look at this. Crazy.
Phil?
Is that what South? Y'all just throw girls here?
Yeah.
It's either sissies or ones that look like sissies, so.
Shut up, you ain't got tits like me.
Why do you think I played with yours?
Yeah, I know.
All right, so next episode on Patrick's fucking
I
YouTube
need to
channel,
be
we'll
doing
be
this, not
discussing.
Oh,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
colonization of Mars.
Yeah, we need to. I do
We'll
wanna
be
talk about
discussing-
that. But
What, the Book of Mormon?
we will figure. No, colonization of Mars.
Mormon.
Yeah.
Why do you have the Book of Mormon?
But
Because these Mormons came to my door and I asked them for their fucking Bible. So it's me.
I don't get Mormons up here. I just get crackheads.
Phil, do you have anything you want to shill, or are you good?
Show right now? Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Not shill,
Alright.
shill. Like,
So corn dog.
is there anything you want to like put out there, like a social media or anything
No.
like that?
I don't use social media. It's cancer.
Okay. What about you, Andy? Do you have anything you want to shill?
You fucking poor guy.
Yeah, this is Andy Garcia live from the closet. Peace out.
All right. See you, buddy. I'm gonna end this.
Proceeds to call him a retard for an hour. All right, see you, buddy.